Trying to get saved, baby, I am not the answer. No. I'm a man with a gift and I'm doing my shit like. Trying to get saved, baby, I am not the answer. No. I'm a man with a gift and I'm doing my shit like. And I'm doing my shit like.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? I'm right here behind this poster. And you can't see me. And a boo-boo. Anyways, how are you guys doing tonight? I'll be on in just one moment. I'm so glad you're here. I had some I really had some last minute things to do. Jeez. I'm so sorry I'm so late, but it's important. And I will tell you why now. It's important because I ran across a couple of alarming podcasts or channels or videos, whatever you want to call them. And it was of some, active Mormons who were using the very same language as Chad, Lori, Tim Ballard, Tom Harrison, all the things that we have been learning through all these cases, okay? And so last minute, I was like trying to throw together a thumbnail that would represent what I'm even going to be going over. It was last minute whenever I got triggered by the words that, I was already going to go over it, or you know what I mean? We were just going to touch on it or something. But when I heard these words, I was like, no, it's go time. This is the intervention that never took place with my Aunt Lori. This is the intervention. Only it's not for her, but it's because of her. I know now how to identify these things, it just red flags, alarm bells, everything's popping off right now. And it's not me being triggered. I'm not triggered. I feel so compelled to intervene, to raise awareness, to be an activist, to be an advocate, to honor Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe's lives. This is it. This is another way in which they provided, not by our choices, but they provided us with the ability to take the knowledge, take everything that we learn from these cases and from their lives, from their deaths, from their murders, from, their untimely ends, and to bring meaning to to their lives, to honoring their lives, okay? So, we're gonna do this with love. We're gonna do this with compassion because that's really who we are. We can snark, snark, snark all day long, and we might. We might just do that, Who knows? But I'm more concerned than I am pissed. I'm not pissed. I'm not mad. I'm concerned. And, so, yeah, this is probably this right now, the way I feel right now, this is probably the most important live stream I've ever done. So, I had to take a sip because I can hear my mouth already. It's dry. Okay, so I am going to, well, oh, I guess I have to really remove the whole damn banner. I'm like, okay, well, why isn't it going away? Right? We can't just have normal. Hey. But anyways, so I'm glad you guys are here. Let's do it. Play that shit. Anyways. Oh my gosh. All right. So, oh, Donna, whenever I do go back, whenever I leave this screen, because I'm already in the share screen window, can you put me behind or, on the side of it or something where, because if I share right now, it'll just be me and I'll just be talking and you won't see anything. Okay. Oh gosh, not that one. Okay, I'm sorry. I pushed the damn button and it goes right to it. It's playing. Needs a okay. Oh my god. They're all playing, I think.
Of us can come in many,
Yes,
many
they are.
different ways.
All right. Hold on, let me go shut all these things up. I'm glad y'all can you imagine a bunch of Melanie Gibbs and Lori Vallows and Chad Daybells talking to you at one time? That's what's happening right now. You heard it here. You heard it all here first. Okay. All right. So, what we're looking at right now is actually I mean, I really don't know much about the channel. I just have been kinda keeping an eye on it. I don't know. It's just one of those freaky things that I do. Thank you, KDH. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Oh, okay. All right. So, this is so okay. I don't know the words. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not a cold expert. I'm not an expert, but this is through my experience. Okay. This is through my experience and through my research and through all the difficult research and the all of the justice through understanding. This is where it is like, here you go, girl. Here's your diploma. Here, have a free steak dinner on us. I just I don't know. I feel driven to do this. So, okay. I just gotta figure out what I'm doing. Let me go back to the screen first. That'd help, huh? And okay, so basically this is the name of the channel is Spiritual Survivor. Okay. And it is I don't know these people, so it's Randy and Janet Brown. Okay. Please do not contact them. Please, let's just I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to handle this really. So we're here. Are and so the title is Are There Sanctifying Trials We Were quote unquote called to pass through? Spiritual Survivor Podcast. Okay. This is December 31st, 2023. That's when this happened, this one. But I mean they do have live streams or, videos regularly. They only have 1,630 subscribers. So small channel, but it's Mormon. They're active Mormons, and we're just concerned. That's what we are. And they really, I think he might be Randy might be affiliated with Avraham Gileadi. I don't know that yet, so just know that. But right here in the description box, you see it says Randy and Janet Brown discuss their thoughts on how we are called to pass through Abrahamic tests, Tim Ballard, with our children. With our children. Okay. This is not even, I'm just reading this for the first time. Are these things we agreed to do before this life? Okay, hold on. It's going to sound like you're going to be like, Lori, Chad, hey, everybody, Colt, hey, oh, no, that's not them because it's not just them. Anyways, it says, check out Isaiah Institute. This is Avraham Gileadi's, okay, which is IsaiahInstitute.com. You can use this link to get commentary on every verse in Isaiah. Okay, so he's a doctrinal patriarch. I don't know what his background is. Don't know. We're learning together. You can use this link to watch 28 videos that will teach you how to understand Isaiah. And I have printed scrolls of Isaiah from this website, but not through them. It was just through Avraham Gileadi. Okay, let me hit the transcript so I can hit keywords and stuff, because there's another one too that explains sanctification. It kind of just throws it all in. If you ever wanted to understand Chad and Lori's beliefs, here they are, minus all the weirdness. Okay, minus the word zombie. And I would say, I don't know. Let's do this together. All right, let me back this up. Okay, so this is Randy and Janet Brown, and we are going to. This is called Tough Love, and I don't know these people. Thank you, baby. So sweet. We don't know them, but we don't want any more Tylee and JJs. And when you tell somebody that they, they're believing, you just don't, it's hard. I've tiptoed around it this entire time of being on YouTube, especially this is where I came, but you have to sometimes be a little tough. You have to give a little tough love. Sometimes you have to say things that, are a little hard to hear, but you say them with the utmost respect, love, and compassion, empathy, how they would view it if already we know that this religion tends to have quite a big persecution complex. Then there's like victims advocate, please, party of one. And my big ego back here, I mean, that's it tends to breed this. Okay. So already let's just assume that they are lifelong Latter-day Saints. And let's say, I don't know where they live, but I mean, Avraham Gileadi now. Okay. So, and they're speaking the same Mormon speak, or like I'll call it the Mormonese, Mormonology 101. Here we go. Except it's Mormonology 144. Anyways, but we're hitting all the keywords, okay? Like Abrahamic test, the everlasting covenant, hold on, I wrote them down, but I can't find it. Yes, I can. Things like the Abrahamic test, the 144,000, foreordained, which is a Mike Stroud. I mean, foreordained. Okay. Higher calling, the call out. Hello. If I suspect that their conversation is going to go where I thought it went, when I was kind of trying to listen to it, but I was spazzing out because I was ready to get on here and share this with you guys so we could go over this. But I was like, this is what the call out is. The other whole, the Mormon church is going to call you, when the shit hits the fan, the SHTF. No, you didn't miss a meeting. No. But anyways, whenever the shit hits the fan, whenever the tribulations come and those big earthquakes and stuff, a lot of these people, which is so, I mean, this is my understanding of it. There is no clear line. There's Roger K. Young and the call out. That's where it originated from. as far as we can vet out here right now in this story, as far as these people, as far as Chad and Lori's verse, in their realm. But I'm sure it goes higher. I'm sure it's started way back yonder, you know? Okay, so it's just like this assumption, or it's like it's not written in any of the Latter-day Saint, um, whatever the handbooks and, all their little things and stuff. It's not like just written in there. There is no clear definition, which is normal. That's what the church does, in my opinion. The church just throws they let these ideas breed. And instead of getting to the root of the problem, they just say, it's a cult. The church is like, cult. Hey, tell sister so it's a cult. And then it'll spread like freaking wildfire. And then that's how they distance the church from the problematic Latter-day Saint, I guess you could say. The Loris, the Chads, the Tim Ballards, all those, okay? Ervil LeBaron, okay? The church does what it has to do for itself, for its image, and whatever, okay? But when it comes to the unwellness, the sickness, the toxic thought process here, you've got people who are born and raised in the covenant, pretty much, and a lot of these people they're good people. They are. They are. I mean, I admire them for so many different things, because I'm like, because of this religion and the way you were brought up, I believe it makes you really organized and well-spoken, and I admire that. Like, I'm just like, "Oh, I wish I could be like that." I'm like all hood, okay? And, I fumble on my words, but, I mean, okay, so it takes all walks of life. Anyways, neither here nor there, but what I'm saying is, when you're born and raised in this belief system, and the way that the church sets up its wards and its communities, and you have or you used to have, they changed the terminology so fast. It's faster than Chad could label a zombie. Haha. Sorry, but not, Anyways. Mm, mm. I hope that's ice. I was like, I feel some clabbery. Talk about freak out. It was ice. Thank God. But so they have the community and everything, and they used to have home visiting teachers, which is what Melanie Gibb was. Okay. And so they go to your home. I don't really know all the things, but I was listening to Tammy Daybell, or the testimony about Tammy Daybell, more around her, um, things that had more to do with her, the shooting at her, and things like that. And from Lori Vallow's trial. And like, her neighbor was a home visiting teacher. No, that was Lauren that said that. Okay. So that's where I got that from. It was a neighbor. And anyways, but they have these home visiting teachers, or they did. I'm sure they have something. It's just called something else. And they would go and like, just they depend on one another. They check up on one another. Sometimes they're sent to go check up on another. You saw it. You heard it here with Melanie Gibb going to Zalema's house, talking, saying, "Hey, I'm about to run to the police." Allegedly, she said this. Who knows? And then she seems to think, and through her interviews or whatever with the police department in Arizona and in Idaho, she let it be known that, like, no, it was with Nate Eaton. The Bishop Gabe, I said Gabe Bishop. All right, the Bishop Gabe, like, he calls Melanie. Melanie's like, "Hello, this is Gibbs, Fibs, the Gibbs." Anyways, and he's like, "Hey, something's going on at Alex's house," and she's like, "Oh my God." And so she's like, she goes and checks, because that's what she does. She is nosy. And she is a gossiper. She don't follow her. Just know that. but she, in fact, follows her. Trust me. I think we all see right through that. Okay. But she's like back on the phone with the bishop saying, oh yeah, and they're gossiping like some little freaking cackling hens, it's just whatever. It's whatever. So I mean, that's just one instance. There's also the other one where Melanie Gibb allegedly was told to go and check on Melanie Pulaski's kids. And then that's when she ran into Brandon's neighbor and he was like, oh, thank God he moved because he got shot at. And then she goes back and she's the go-getter. No. But I mean, she goes and gets the goss and she comes back. You heard her on the phone, Melanie Gibb on the phone with Sherry Dowdle, how her goss session with somebody she never met, allegedly, sounded so different from every other thing that flew out of her mouth or that she could recall. I'm sorry. That's Melanie. I can't recall Gibb. So, all right. So, I mean, we have sanctification. We have feel the fire. These are words or the phrases they're using. Law of consecration, call out, outside the box. Melanie Gibbs' literal freaking username and website was called Standing Outside of the Box. Okay. All right. Here's your sign. Start writing down all the flags because they're zinging. Suffering and children in the same sentence. Okay. Multiple times. Unbelief. That's somebody who's rebellious, a child who's rebellious, maybe, Ascension. Okay, maybe they have to sacrifice so that you can ascend. So, okay, it's going to piss you off a bit. But you know what? I'd rather get pissed off than pissed on. Haha. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, we're just going to go.
Welcome to this episode of the Spiritual Survival Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Brown.
Well, hello, Randy.
Our team's mission is to help you have eyes to see the times we are living in.
Hey,
Take
Lord.
unprecedented measers to prepare yourself spiritually for the events that will precede the second coming of Jesus Christ.
I don't want to get copyrighted for that. For that music. Okay, Randy. My first ex-husband's name.
And share this content.
Oh.
Welcome to this week's edition.
Okay. I mean,
so
you don't want me to speed it up or no?
This week we want to talk about some things that are actually quite sacred,
controversial,
and we kind of debated whether we actually wanted to talk about these things in this type of a format, but believe that it's what we're supposed to do. So as we begin tonight,
here we go.
I just would like to say that we're going to talk about some things that are maybe a little bit outside of the box.
Oh, wow. That's a trigger word. Okay. Check the box.
Maybe things you wouldn't find.
Check the box outside of the box.
Find in a Sunday school lesson or.
Oh, there you
go. Maybe things you wouldn't find in a Sunday school lesson or
things
in a manual.
How many times have we heard that? We're going to talk about some things that are maybe a little bit outside of the box. Maybe things you wouldn't find in the Sunday school lesson or in a manual, because really there's nothing any person can teach us. There's nothing in a manual or a Sunday school lesson that can prepare us to rend the veil. Write that one down. I don't even know what it means. I've never heard it. Okay. It doesn't sound good though. Not in the context of everything. Okay, so to rend the veil. And in our last two podcasts, we talked about two really important topics. One was learning how to rend veils in order to eventually come back into the presence of the Father, Jesus Christ. Okay, you have to read kind of between the lines a little bit. This is where Lori saw Christ, right? Call out, calling an election made sure. It's also a sure witness of Christ. Okay. Anyways, so on how to rend veils in order to eventually come back into the presence of the Father. We also talked about paradoxical trials or Abrahamic trials. I heard that from Tim Ballard's stuff. Okay. which Sherston Stockwell, I believe it was. I don't know. I don't have everything on hand. So this is last minute, and that's why I was late for real this time. It wasn't just because, I'm late. Okay. And then we talked about paradox. Okay. About Abrahamic trials, and want to talk about things pertaining to both of those, but specifically he wants to answer a comment that we received this week from one of our viewers. I would like to read the comment. Actually, I think there's 2 comments I want to share tonight and discuss them, and maybe answer with maybe some hope. But I want to say really, really there's light and knowledge. Another phrase, keyword there. Further light and knowledge. Greater light and knowledge. Greater light and knowledge. Further light and knowledge. Jason Mao, John Pontius, Tom Harrison. I've heard these people, and I'm just talking about with my experience. Okay, so the people that I research and study and pretty much investigate, if I'm being honest, I watch them pretty hard, and nothing has changed. That's one thing that you notice right away. You're like, well, that didn't stop them. And you ask, why did it not stop them? Because they don't think it's wrong. That's just it. Rob Wood told Summer Shiflett, your sister, he said about Lori Vallow, your sister believes that what she has done in righteousness. And I don't believe it's because her and Chad were just like, dun, da, da, da. We're going to start our own church right here. It's going to be invisible though, on this lot right here. And, we're going to, be a leading competitor with the almost $1 trillion church right up the road, 2.6 miles ish. I'm just saying that's nonsensical. They left and went to Hawaii. Well, what about their church? I mean, that doesn't, the math don't math. So I believe, and I have believed, and I continue to suspect that it goes higher, way up. It goes to, I would say, leadership level. If I had to speculate, which I am doing right now, I believe that it would have to be by way of, I don't really know who. So I just, again, let me just keep that to myself. But pretty much, if you followed this channel, then you know how I felt on November 12th when M. Russell Ballard died. Although I do have a friend, I call him a friend now. He's actually a Mormon. I have 2 Mormon guy friends. I mean, it's just, I say that and I'm being snarky a little bit, but many Mormons, they left a long time ago because I started to learn for myself and question things, sometimes knowing the answer already. I'm just like, well, that's not what they said. That's not what the Book of Mormon said. Because I was learning. I don't have the vernacular. I don't have that dialect or the whatever, you know what I mean? I don't have this vocabulary at all. I don't speak this. This is not what I was born into. So this is foreign to me. But as an outsider, a highly critical one at that, who's really watching the religion hard and trying to understand. I really am. I really have been. It's not been to persecute anybody. It's just to hold people responsible and accountable for their beliefs, which turn into inaction and action. That the belief it's like it's what ignites it. There's the fire, the match and the gasoline or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, the fire and gasoline. There's belief, and then there's the driver of belief, and it's just like pow. And I believe that it goes above Lori and Chad. I don't believe Chad. Trust me, I'd love to nail his ass with everything and anything, but also it doesn't do any justice for the victims because that's where it stops. You're not really holding the people accountable for the ideas, for what was told to Lori and Chad. What they did with it, that's on them. They are adults. Every one of these people are adults. The kids aren't adults though. They didn't have that choice. And that's where you and me and the rest of the community, that's our job. I believe it's our responsibility as a fellow human, okay? You don't have to be in any religion, any race, any creed, any sex. You just be you. And let's look out for these kids because they need us. Tylee and JJ needed us. And right here, right now, they're working through this in my belief system, okay? In my belief system, this is where the rubber meets the pavement, and this is where we bring meaning, to their early dismissal. I don't even know. It's so hard to talk about, and I talk about it all the time, and it doesn't get any easier, but this is alarming. So I want these people to have people that are not just yes men, who aren't just like, that have a little diversity, that can accept some healthy criticism, constructive criticism. It's not about your beliefs. Believe in a one-eyed, one-horn flying booger people eater, whatever. Just don't hurt people because of those beliefs, and don't make oaths and covenants with pretty much the damn devil, if you ask me. Okay? It's gaslighting, and it's opposite. That's how I believe this works. I believe that if they are saying, watch out for the Gadianton robbers and the secret society, you best grab your Mormon britches and pull them up and run. And then come on over here, and just come join the Church of the Latter-day Aints. Okay? We're the Aints. And I mean, you're more than welcome here. We love you no matter what. We want you to love you. We want you to respect you, because I, from an outsider looking in with deep love and just respect and compassion for you, I don't know you, but I don't like seeing you be abused, hurt, manipulated, spiritually abused, sexually abused, and then hidden, and then silenced, and then I just believe whatever you want to believe. This has nothing to do with doctrines. I don't care what the scriptures say. I remember saying that to myself. I will never learn those scriptures, is what I said. I don't even know Bible scriptures. So there's that. Anyways, let me get off my soapbox. But it just needs to be said. I don't know. And I got to practice saying it so I can get better at it. All right, let me just hit the button.
Because really there's nothing any person can teach us. There's nothing in a manual or a Sunday school lesson that can prepare us to rend the veil.
That's alarming right there. That's exactly what Patrick Mason said about Lori and Chad. And many more who like to distance the church from these people who go off the rails, right?
And in our last two podcasts, we talked about two really important topics. One was learning how to rend veils.
I want
to eventually
learn what that
come
is.
Back into the presence of the Father.
So rend a veil, I guess that would be, oh, okay. It might equate to what Mike Stroud would say. I think I deleted those little clips I had right here. Let's see. He would say you have to inquire and plead to obtain and receive. That's exactly what that sounds like. Let's do this little reminder too, real quick, right here.
Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened.
So this is a mind-blowing development in the Chad and Lori Daybell case. So this is them sunbathing the day of their arrest. And this book right here I'm going to tell you what's inside of that book and how it basically explains everything about this case. So Visions of Glory is a book that has been sold in LDS bookstores. It claims to have a stamp of approval by an apostle. It also claims to be a prophetic book about the last days leading to the second coming of Christ, which is what Lori and Chad believed was happening right now. At one point, the book explains that people will be so ripe with iniquity because they've been overcome by evil spirits, and that the most righteous thing that you can do for them in that state is to, quote, deliver them from mortality. I will play a clip for you now.
There was a law we followed. It was not a rule, but a law. When an individual or group threatened us, we knew their hearts. If there was any hope, even the slightest hope that they could be saved, even in the most celestial sense, we did not harm them. When we were confronted by people who were fully ripe in iniquity, and who would never repent, then we were free to deliver them from mortality. Their death would then be a blessing to them. Their death would be a blessing to them, because they could no longer add additional iniquity to their divine ledger.
Well, right? Okay, that's good. I thank her so much for putting that together because it's perfect. Okay, this is another thing. Okay, I'm gonna play the blood oath that I have back here on tap. Okay, and it's about a minute long, but it's worth it.
Oath of Vengeance, or Blood Vengeance, was an oath that members of the Mormon Church took as part of the endowment ceremony in the temple from 1845 to the early 1930s. In this oath, members of the church vowed that they would pray for God to enact vengeance on the United States to avenge the blood of Joseph and Hiram Smith, who were killed in 1844. In the temple, the officiator would say, "You and each of you do covenant and promise that you will pray and never cease to pray to Almighty God, to avenge the blood of the prophets upon this nation, and that you will teach the same to your children and to your children's children unto the third and fourth generation." President Brigham Young said, "Before the Nauvoo temple was completed, Joseph was murdered at sunlight, under the protection of the most noble government that then existed, and that now exists on our earth. The souls of all such, since the days of Jesus, are under the altar, and are crying to God, day and night, for vengeance. And shall they cry in vain? God forbid. He has promised he will hear them in his own due time, and recompense a righteous reward." The blood vengeance oath was removed from the temple ceremony in the early 1930s.
And you are spot on, Zero. You are spot on. That's exactly what this is headed to. Troho, just, I mean, that's my hunch. And if I could put it all into words, that's what it would say. It's like a repeat of, and I don't know much about it, so I'm speaking very ignorantly, but that's what this, I believe the United Order is in Mormonese, in the Mormon speak. And I believe that that is what basically how the church is set up with the hierarchy and, you know, the tier shape, MLM, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, how that's working, how you're going to go to the 3 degrees of glory heaven, which is the celestial, terrestrial, celestial, and the social scoring order. I don't know. It just is really, it looks like, you know, and then there's this call out theory where some members in the church believe that, you know, they're going to get a phone call from the prophet, maybe not himself, but, and they're going to show up with an 18-wheeler, okay, and pick up everybody's, all their, all the prepper stuff, the camping supplies, and, you know, to go and live in these white tents whenever the destruction, you know, from the, what do you call it? Tribulations and Armageddon. Okay. And it just, I don't know. It just is very vibey that way. And, it seems like that's how, I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie End Time? It's called End Time, and it has Justin Timberlake in it. I know, but it's a good movie. And it reminds me of that. Anyways, I still need to watch The Truman Show, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, let me get back over here.
But we also talked about paradoxical trials or Abrahamic trials. And I want to talk about things pertaining to both of those. but specifically answer a comment that we received this week from one of our viewers. I would like to read her comment. Actually, I think there's two comments I want to share tonight and discuss them and maybe answer them with maybe some hope. But I want to say, you know, really there's light and knowledge that we can only gain by being taught by the Lord himself.
The Lord
There are
himself.
veils of unbelief.
The Lord himself. Melanie Gibbs says that to the Rexburg Police Department.
That we need to rend, and that can only be done by experiencing the Lord himself. And I want to bring that together with the concept of how that can usually only be done in the form of passing through Abrahamic trials and Abrahamic testing.
So
let me share this comment from one of our listeners. She says, I have had some severe trials starting in 2020, but my trials didn't stop. They got worse, to the point of my daughter ending up with fentanyl in her system and having to be in the children's hospital and then in rehab 2 different times. Then my other daughter took off at 15 for 2 weeks, and we didn't know where she was. It turns out that she was with a 19-year-old who she met online. We did get her back, thank goodness, but the biggest blow of all was when our oldest daughter, who had served a mission and was always our stalwart one, told us she stopped wearing her garments and didn't want to go to church anymore.
that was the biggest one out of all those. That was the biggest one. I just realized that. The biggest blow of all was their daughter, who was the stalwart one, saying that, you know, she didn't want to go to church anymore. Okay. Go ahead, millennials. You know, y'all are kicking ass. And you can join the Latter-day Aints anytime over here. And where we cuss like some saints. Anyways, and I do live in Louisiana, where we do have the New Orleans Saints, and a lot of times they are the Aints. Anywho, it's just triggering. It's triggering language. It's power packed.
It was a confusing and heart-wrenching time. I felt I had failed God. I want to emphasize that because I think there's so many of us going through very, very similar trials to what she just experienced, what she just talked about. And there's so many of us feeling that same feeling that maybe we haven't been good enough parents or that we've failed God.
Can any of you maybe how I'm seeing what I'm experiencing right now when I'm listening to this is I wonder if these things cross through Lori's mind. I'm sure not for long if they did it all, but no one was murdered here is what she said. And I'm telling you, the evidence is, you know, the evidence is, you know, right here. So here's some of JJ's ashes. They're, you know, that's the evidence. The kids were murdered. Tammy was murdered. Charles was murdered. Joe, I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't doubt it. And we have to get to the root of the problem. Bad.
Preparing our children. If any of you are experiencing this, and if the things we say tonight resonate with you, please feel comfortable to share some of your comments, maybe some of your experiences. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. No hate comments, please.
Now, I've kind of noticed in the little bit I did get to listen to them, and let me know how you perceive it. But it seems like they're kind of like on a fishing, you know, they're just like, hey, he's going to say that quite a few times, I do believe. And he's just like, I think wants some feedback. Obviously, he's saying it out loud. We know that Lori, Chad, Melanie, David, well, I haven't heard David, but, well, not on that one, but they put it in a podcast. I just don't speak. I didn't speak Mormon speak. I didn't understand. I was like, why are they all talking in parables? What are they saying? You know, because you're like, no, the way they're saying it. I heard Rod Meldrum the other night. He said the same thing that Glenn Beck said. And Eric Moutsos, he said, you got to keep our powder dry. Okay. To me, that's a dog whistle. In my opinion, I can't prove it. I don't even know what the hell it means. Keep your damn powder dry. I'm just saying, it's like the Constitution is hanging by a thread. That's that dog whistle. It's the same rhetoric, and I don't know what it means. I just, in the context of things, because I do look at context a lot, because things can be taken out of context so easily. But when you speak in a whole different language and you are within a organization, unhealthy organization, in my opinion, and they are even, where the leader is speaking out at general conference, this past conference, and was basically like, hey, all those Gentiles out there, yeah, don't talk to them. Okay. Just distance yourself. So already there's a barrier between me and a Mormon, me and a Latter-day Saint. Why? Because their infrastructure, their entire networking, their entire existence revolves around being a Latter-day Saint. They are told they're chosen. They are told that that we are the Gentiles. Anybody on the outside is a Gentile, and you are, here I'm a Latter-day Saint, and I'm like, I've got to deliver the truth so I can get you to come to come on, girl. And if you don't know any different, if you're not ever in diverse situations where there's diversity and differing backgrounds and things like that, you lack self-awareness. I believe that's that's what I'm calling it, where you're everybody thinks like you, so therefore then I think that breeds into this whole competitiveness we see. There's a lot of competitiveness, big time. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it goes to the extreme. And then, it's just, it can become toxic. It can become extreme. And that's why we're here. Extreme team.
She goes on to say, he let me know this was my test and to trust him. I want to talk about that tonight too. She says, I am trusting him. He has never let me down.
Talking about God.
And I think she's right on. I think many of us have felt that maybe we've been bad parents, that we've let him down. But if we really go to the Lord, I think we'll find that he'll tell us that this is an Abrahamic test, and has a definite purpose.
Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but when I pray, I'm just like, it's just in my mind, it's just, oh, thank you, God, or, just whatever it is I have to say. I don't sit there and wait for anything back. I'm not like, okay, do I pass go? Do I collect $200 or do I go directly to jail? Okay. And then you wait for the Lord to answer you. I don't know what that is. And I mean, it's not that it's not funny. It's not right. It's not wrong. I don't know what that is. So I don't know how to even really navigate around that, because besides sharing just how, I've handled things, it's just between me and my God, or my higher power, source, or whatever it is for you. Just that internal voice. It's not an audible voice. It's not a, hi girl, it's nothing like that. It's just, when something feels right. You should, unless you're Melanie Gibb and Zelima and Christine Atwood and Serena Shar, all those broads. Okay. Then you don't know, obviously, or you do know it's wrong, and then you roll with it because, I don't really know. That's where I get really thrown off. I'm like, oh my
God. My wife and I have been through things very similar to what this sister just shared with us. Would you agree with her comments about being maybe feeling like a bad parent at times, and then realizing that it is a test?
Absolutely.
I know. I visit
I
home
thought
a lot.
my job was to help my children and teach them and get them on the path, and if they strayed, to put a stop to that. to save them when they needed to be saved.
I don't think you can really put a stop to that, but that's just parenting. I don't know. Everybody's going to have a differing style, but I think the more that you restrain and the more you, mom learned, she told me like last year, she was like, oh, I finally learned if I don't want you to do something, I say, do it. If I tell you, if I do want you to do something, I say, don't. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm like that. And a lot of us are. It's just like it is a rebel streak in us sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Okay, it's just understanding your child, learning how to talk to your children, learning how to listen to your children, not just talk. At them and to them. When people talk at me, I shut down. I'm like, what? It's just and people do it not even as a child. People still talk at you, and I'm gone. But anyways, there's just you can't make your daughter or your son or anybody for that matter. You cannot control other people. Okay, you can show and lead by example. That's the best way. And then that's when you pray and hope the hell you did a good job, a good enough job. And to let them know that your love is not conditional, that, if they have to do X, Y, and Z in order to, have your acceptance. It's not conditional. It's unconditional. That's something I do feel for Latter-day Saints, because a lot of them, the ones I've seen and learn from, and it just kind of, it's just, they don't know unconditional love. It's conditional. It's proven on your worthiness. It's proven on how long you can be a virgin, how fast you can get married, how fast you can pop out 11 kids, how many jobs, you can work while staying at home, how many MLMs. No, I'm joking. But I'm just saying it's all about proving. And then that also feeds into that competitiveness that we see. Yeah. Anything you can do, I can do better kind of thing. It kind of makes me think, and it has made me think about how Lori chose to adopt. Was JJ just the latest accessory? Everybody else adopting a kid, so I'm gonna go adopt a kid too. And then you get tired of that because she lived a good life. She had a nice homes, nice vehicles, didn't have to work. That's a luxury, my friend. That is a damn luxury. And then you get bored, okay? You're just proving all the time. Then you make other people prove to you, okay? And it's just, I don't know. It's really different.
Taught me that I'm not the savior.
The whole concept of them having agency was kind of a thing we weren't on board with for a while. So one of the
gosh.
things I want to convey tonight is that every trial has purpose, and especially those trials that are paradoxical. And what I mean by paradoxical is when the Lord tests you with something that does not make sense.
Amen, brother. Run. Get your wife, all your kids, and come on. Oh my God, don't hurt them.
Something that's outside of the box.
Go stay in the box.
Your current belief system.
In this.
And we all have those. And we're going to talk about that tonight too.
Oh,
I want to share.
That's Val Brinkerhoff. He has a whole website, 7 Witnesses, and it's some about staying outside the box. That's that go no more out belief system. That is Chad and Lori's belief system too, because it's all these people's belief system. It's just, I don't know. He puts it in a little more scientifical spin on it. It's more science-y, vibrations and the law of one. And then there's the at-one-ment, which is the atonement, which goes into the 2017 eclipse. Then we're going to have one again on the line of totality, and it's going to make an A, which is also, it's an X too, and X marks the spot. And it went over the 7 Salems. Okay. I do have some of those photos if you want to see them, but I think that's what we're going to do, is just not tonight, but we're going to go through this. And then if if I ever shut up, right? But it brings so many things that I've been learning, and I mean, I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with all these things in my head." And I don't know. I know I want to verbalize them. I want them out, and they need to be out, but I don't have the training as far as speaking. I can do the actions. I just can't speak it, you know? I can point it out all day long. I'm your girl. But anyway,
Scripture that I've always loved, and it's from the book of Romans, chapter 8. It says, "And we know," I want to put emphasis on know. "We know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called."
and I want you to know that the scriptures, even in the Holy Bible, they were written not by Jesus or whatever. And don't come at me. I'm ignorant. So I'm just kind of saying like that the Bible was compiled of the dreams and visions of men. Okay. I mean, so use it, learn, if to inspire you, to guide you, but not we know. We know, no, we don't. We know what's in that book and on that paper. And as far as a Mormon is concerned, a Latter-day Saint, they know that Joseph Smith had to translate the Bible correctly. And so they added to the Bible. Okay. And then they don't even really know the Bible. So I find it also interesting whenever like all the other cult members or whatever around Chad and Lori, they all, I mean, even Latter-day Saints like Eric Grossarth and, media people who just all the people who are Mormon, but then they start talking about the Bible. And I'm like, wait, you didn't say Bible, you say Book of Mormon. You all are like BOM. Okay. Very rarely do you hear people in on this platform, in this realm, referencing the Bible. I mean, unless it's something to prove their point or, to solidify their beliefs or whatever. Yeah.
According to his purpose.
So don't do that.
There was a time when I had a really difficult time believing that all things work together for good. And I had to learn what he meant by those who are called according to his purpose. So
Oh shit. Okay. Where's that damn it doll?
did that mean that even terrible things, even seemingly evil things?
Why is he even asking that? Oh shit. I'm backing that up. Getting the whole context.
I mean, I had a really difficult time believing that all things work together for good. And I had to learn what he meant by those who are called according to his purpose. So did that mean that even terrible things, even seemingly evil things,
Why would you
are
do
intended
that?
to work for our good? Especially if we're called
Uh-oh.
according to his purposes. So I thought a lot about what does that mean to be called according to his purposes, and perhaps
It means Tylee and JJ is what it means. Okay. It means the Frankie children. It means almost Melanie Pulowski's children. It means a lot of damn children. It means Jesse Hildebrandt. It means Blaze Thibodeau. That's what it means. I mean,
that means we're those of us who are called to ascend spiritually,
to
those of us
ascend
who know we have an
spiritually.
end time role to fulfill.
End time role to fulfill.
Perhaps that means we're those of us who are called to ascend spiritually. To those of us who know we have an end time role to fulfill.
Holy hell.
And I think it also means those of us who are called to have faith like Abraham.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about that tonight too, about what it means and why it's a pattern in the scriptures for us to develop the type of faith that Abraham had.
Drop the Old
Pass
Testament,
through
okay?
experiences like Abraham had.
Just leave the damn church.
Would you say we've been through some of that?
I would think we've been through some of that.
Liken yourself to freaking Abraham.
So, question I pose to the listeners tonight is, are there Abrahamic purposes for us and for our children who are struggling?
I don't like that. I don't like how that's framed. Are there Abrahamic purposes? And then our children is underlined for us and our children who struggle. Okay. Well, what did Tylee struggle with in Lori's eyes? She struggled making friends with her mom and Chad's weird friends that were coming around and changing everything. I mean, just flipping their worlds upside down. She was having trouble moving and adapting. She was probably having trouble not having her cell phone and her friends and her family. She was struggling to graduate via a GED, and she was struggling having to babysit her brother while her mom whored around in temples. Okay, that's wow, righteous, self-righteous. JJ was struggling with, was his mom telling him that his dad killed himself? Was he struggling because daddy wasn't coming home? And I'm sure Lori was driving it in because she just seems like an evil bitch. And she's like, I picture her doing this, like, your dad don't love you. He's not coming back. You know what I mean? Like that, because she was tired of JJ for sure. It was her niece's drug baby, right? I mean, it's only when it suited her did she go out and get the latest adopt a kid accessory, and then it kind of helped her out too, to play the victim mentality, the persecuted mentality. Oh, we struggle, I've had a hard life. Bitch, no, you didn't. You ain't had no hard life. Now you do. Maybe. Ain't hard enough. And at least you have a life, because she took her kids' lives away and her husband's wife away, and she took my family away. She took people that we love away. And screw her, right? Let me go. But this is concerning to me, and that's just one. Are there Abrahamic purposes for us and our children who struggle? Okay. Could Abrahamic tests have been foreordained gifts? So, is this like a, when somebody ahead of you pays for your lunch, in line at McDonald's or something? What the hell is that?
And I know in my ward and amongst friends that I grew up with, everyone I know
Now it seems like they're justifying. They're like, well, they do it, or
is
I don't know.
passing through some type of an Abrahamic trial when it comes to their children.
So everybody in their ward, I mean, why don't y'all have a community like intervention and like be unconditional loving parents? Acceptance, maybe. Learn to love yourselves. I don't know.
Whether they're going through trials of their faith.
I mean, they seem like they're up in age, like maybe like grandkid status, but I don't know.
Mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
Dysfunctions.
Oh, God, yeah.
Many, many things.
Mhm.
And I also pose to you, the listener, this question: could Abrahamic tests?
Now, this, I think, is something he is questioning himself.
Have been foreordained gifts. And
could Abrahamic tests?
I also pose to you, the listener, this question: could Abrahamic tests have been foreordained gifts? And I think from my wife and I, the experience my wife and I have had, we would say that we believe that's definitely the case.
But
so I'll pose this question to my wife, but it's also to you, the listener. Is it possible that our children chose to be born at this time?
We've heard this before.
When society is breaking down, when deception is prevalent, and where the spiritual degree of difficulty that they're trying to operate under is so high.
What? Why them? Why does this have to do with your children? Okay. Is that what the Abrahamic test is? Testing your children? Okay. Where the spiritual degree of difficulty is so high. Where generational... Okay, go ahead. Let him finish.
Is it possible that they chose to live in this time where generational dysfunctions and weaknesses are plaguing us all, things like anxiety and depression? And
I think he's trying to talk himself into it. Something, maybe an Abrahamic, you pass the test, which is, the slammer if you get caught. Just saying.
And just like I said, deception
And hell.
coming at us from everywhere.
Yeah, your church.
Seems to me that, a big part of our life's experiences are to
Life.
have weaknesses and to have thorns in the flesh. It's certainly been the case in my life, but I've learned, my wife and I have learned,
It's not to lean
that
on
our
nobody but
weaknesses are
you.
actually gifts. They're gifts.
Somebody told you that. Like, I just don't think that this is just from you reading a Bible or a Book of Mormon Bible or whatever scriptures you were reading, Isaiah explained. Obviously, you need to step outside of that box a little bit and check yourself. This is a come to Jesus meeting. Come to my Jesus meeting. And yeah.
Given to us to bring us
Repentance.
into the depths of humility.
Yeah.
And they're intended to, at some point, turn us to Christ. And
What? You're supposed to be pointing at Christ. Okay, you're that's what you're striving to do. Is y'all are actually striving to kind of just like be God, your own God, gods of your own planet. Allegedly, I don't know. It's what I heard in the Mormon streets, but I'm just saying, what the hell? I already forgot.
They're given to us to bring us into the depths of humility. And they're intended to, at some point, turn us to Christ and recognize that there's no other way to solve life's problems, to be delivered, to be saved, except through the deliverance and the power of the atonement of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you'll hear of deliverance a lot too.
And another big part of our life's experience is to actually taste the bitter.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think so.
So that we can learn to prize the sweet.
Oh, yeah. Roger K. Young comes to mind.
So my two most recent episodes, one was about Abrahamic trials or paradoxical trials that seem to make no sense, like Abraham being asked to sacrifice his own son.
And this is pretty much the theme of today's lesson. Okay. And then I think he's just kind of like, should I stay or should I go now? he's doing the double jump rope, and he's like, when do I jump in? And do I jump in? And if I jump in, is it the right thing to do? And if you're doubting already, I feel like you've been posed, propositioned, you've gotten that call out, bud. And now you have like I don't know, I don't understand it all, but this is just me and my unexpertise. Okay. We'll be here all week, but I just think it's like he got the call out. And I know that if you deny it, there is repercussion for that. Now, this is like the secret society club. Okay. Wink, wink. These are the Gadiant robbers are the ones who are telling you, oh, they're warning you against the Gadiant robbers. They're warning you against the secret societies. The ones who are warning you about child sex trafficking and trying to eradicate it are maybe the ones who are actually, maybe allegedly, in my opinion, yeah, I believe that's what's happening. And just like their narcissistic father church, I look at the church like a narcissistic, I guess, a patriarch, right? Flexing their patriarchal muscles, spiritual giant muscles. And the church is like, hey, pay us 10% for us to abuse you, use you, exploit you, trick you out, basically. Your genealogy, and you got to pay for your shit too. You're going to pay us to be shitty to you, and we're going to dangle this Mormon heaven carrot above your head, and that is your afterlife. That is where you go after you die here, which everybody is going to die. You're not going to get 2 tickets to paradise. They're selling you a false prophecy. It's trickery. It's the devil. It is evil. It is wrong. It is exploitation. It is gross. It's against humanity. It's wrong to trick people. It's wrong. But it's up to the individual member to, instead of, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how I would feel as them. If I were, somebody higher up, I'm sure that's where it comes from. And, they're, yeah, that's what Russell Ballard used to do. Him and Rasbin and what's the other one? Ballard and Renlund, Dale G. Renlund, the ones who turned two apostles turned into zombies as far as Melanie Gibb is concerned. Melanie Gibb wrote the infamous Reddit email. And Ballard and Renlund were zombies. So were two of the detectives. But I'm just saying, that's what M. Russell Ballard has said to have done, because like he's in Tom Phillips' account of his experience with the second anointing, the calling election major. He literally says in his interview with John DeLynn that he was like, oh my God, I just didn't think that, I was worthy enough to meet Christ. Like, he was expecting to literally meet Christ, which is what a lot of people literally think that Lori did. My uncle was trying to literally get help for his or allegedly mentally ill wife, who was saying that she saw Christ in the flesh, in the church, in the temple. I'm not the church, in the temple. Do you see the deception here? Do you see how it got Lori out of a death penalty? Do you see how it's wrong and deceptive, and it's not the truth? And the truth is the only thing that brings justice to these victims, because it's their stories. I don't give a shit about Lori's. I don't give a shit about Chad. I'm just saying, I do care about why they had to die. I want that truth to come out, because it's their stories, without them being able to tell it, and without me having to, or anybody else. It's just like, I'm not going to settle, because it's just not the right thing to do. It's not confronting the problem head on at all. It's because it's never getting, we got to find source. That way we can point to source's daddy and be like, hey, patriarchal daddy, narcissistic asshole, hey, we got this problem here, you see? And I want to be able to identify that problem by name and be able to explain it pretty well, somewhat. And then, because I want to represent my murdered family members against the church that, didn't give a shit whether they were, I'm sure they cared if they were tithing. I'm sure they were like, damn, another one bites the dust, right? I just I don't understand. So I really think that this is higher up. I think that this is how they are tricking, perhaps. I mean, I'm not saying all, but I mean, it's in the possibilities. It's within the possibilities for me. It is, because they're all just men too. It took me a little minute to realize that, these, I'm like, oh my God, Latter-day Saints, look at these 15 dudes. There's the prophet, then there's the other two dudes, and then there's 12 dudes under that. And so there's like basically 15 dudes who, I don't know, probably sit there and play, pick up sticks or something. I don't know how they make their decisions, but they're never in, they're never, for the most part, from what I've seen, it's never in favor of what I perceive as good and Christ-like. You reach out whenever your members, especially children of your own congregation, are murdered. You reach out and you say, hey, can we bring you some funeral potatoes? Can we offer you a free Book of Mormon? Can we just offer our sincerest condolences and say we're sorry for your losses? Can we just be Christ-like? I mean, it's in your name, the Church of Jesus Christ. That's the only place I've seen Jesus. Not seen, but I mean, that's the only literal. It's in your name. And then you trademark and copyright the hell out of that shit. And then Gordon Bowen made the damn, oh Lord, Gordon Bowen designed your damn logo. It's just gross.
And also, we had Todd McLaughlin on last week and talked about rending veils.
Oh Lord, I'm
And we
gonna
have
look that up.
veils of unbelief we need to rend.
Ooh.
So let's stop for just a second and talk about what are Abrahamic tests. I did a little
Yeah.
search of all my scripture notes,
Hmm.
and I put a lot of notes in my scriptures. And these are some of the things that I put in
Don't have
my
them.
scriptures under the topic of Abrahamic tests. That one, an Abrahamic test would be something where we're waiting for God to finally deliver us, to
So are you testing Jesus and God? Or are you testing yourself?
finally intervene. And I had a certain thorn in the flesh or a certain affliction that I went through for 30 years that I
Okay,
prayed
so
continually for.
he does say thorn in the flesh later on when it's really important. I just don't remember the context, but just put a pin in that. So we're at what, 13? We are at 12:58. So let me go right here, and then I'm gonna write that time
Scripture
down.
notes, and I put a lot of notes in my scriptures, and these are some of the things that I put in my scriptures under the topic of Abrahamic test. That
Okay, get on with it.
one, an Abrahamic test would be something where we're waiting for God to finally deliver us, to finally intervene. And I had a certain thorn in the flesh or a certain affliction that I went through for 30
Sounds like something negative, like something ailing him or something.
years that I prayed continually for the Lord to remove it.
Okay,
And
deal with it.
finally, in one of my
Like you do something about it, if you can. If not, I mean, it is. We all die.
times of pleading, the Lord said, I can't overstep your agency. This was just
When did he say that?
words that came to my mind. I can't overstep your agency. And I was really taken back by that. Like, what agency? What are you talking about? I want to be rid of this trial. I've endured it long enough. And then it came.
Okay, well, I want to not be fat. Okay, one hand and you poop in the other one, and you clap because then the shit it gets everywhere. You gotta you if you're tired of something, or if it's something that you can fix. You put a little bit of trust in the science and doctors, and you go get that done. If not, you just learn to deal with it, just like people who are born with no arms or legs, or uh, attention deficit disorder, or so on and so forth. You learn, you adapt, and you overcome. And the power lies within.
Came to me that the
Not God and not Satan. Okay, it's within you.
agency that he was talking about was from the pre-existence.
Oh Lord, but is not. It is not a past life. Okay, God dang it, we do not believe in what is that? You know what I mean? Reincarnation, which we don't even call it that. We call it, premortal life, where you sign a contract with Jesus, and you're like, yes, I will fulfill that mission on earth, and I will pick those parents right there. So I chose to come here, and I chose to do this battle and this mission, and
this opened up, this kind of shattered my little box.
But we don't believe in, you were my past wife, girl. Come here, brown chicken, brown cow.
Of my belief system, and took me through it to a place where I could be taught more deeply by the Lord himself.
Where?
That what he was telling me is that he won't overstep things that I chose or agreed to pass through.
Oh, no.
Before I came to this earth.
I don't even know.
There were certain crosses that I chose to bear.
These are just, this is life.
I think that this has definitely been the case within our family.
How about everybody?
I think that, you're asking what's an Abrahamic test. The biggest test that we think of when we think of Abraham is being asked to sacrifice his son,
Oh God. Here we are.
which went against everything, he felt that he had been taught and knew and understood from the Lord that is, evil.
Yeah, it's evil. Okay, listen to this very carefully. Let me put it back on normal speed. So it's important.
Sacrifice a human being
Nope.
and taught and
I backed it
knew
up.
and understood from the Lord that is, evil. Sacrifice a human being. And yet the Lord was asking him to do that. And I think those things that he asks us to do that don't make sense, that those are the most difficult.
No. Spirit does not tell you anything. Okay. That's your that's your internal system. Whatever that is. And so I don't know. What the hell?
I recently had something
My God, don't do that.
happen that we were feeling like we needed to do something.
This is
and
this reminds me of Stacy Cope. Stacy Cox Cope, Lori Vallow's sister, Melanie Pulaski's mom. Hear me out.
It made no sense to me, and I couldn't get to that place, and I kept going back and forth and trying to understand get an answer, what I needed to do. And finally he gave me an experience that then related back to it and made me say, yes, I trust you. I don't care if it makes sense. I'll do it.
You're gonna do it anyways. Ain't nobody telling you to do that. And where? I feel like there's like an intercom in the temple, and it's like burger. And it's just I've literally pictured this whenever I'm trying to figure this out this whole time for almost 5 years now. And I'm like, they went in the temple. She spent a lot of time in the temple. Actually, the day that she murdered my uncle, allegedly, that she worked at the temple on Thursdays for free, because you paid them to treat you like shit. If they wanted you to, have, to not be abused and everything, then, they would have issued you that. It's like the military, if we wanted you to have a wife, we'd have issued you one or whatever. It's just really egregious.
Those are difficult to come to, those places sometimes.
Research.
And sometimes we can't feel any peace until we finally say, I'll do your will, whatever it is, but
what?
Please bring peace.
It sounds like somebody proposed, like, hey, here, you can be exalted. This call out. Caca. And so that is the call out. It's not, there's no 18-wheeler that's going to show up. There's not even a 2-wheeler that's going to show up and pick up your groceries and your tent. Okay. So you best start fending for yourself and not depend on your community or depend on them, because they're getting shit on just like you are. And the church is laughing all the way to the Abrahamic bank. Okay. And all the way. And then they're, just the stuff that they've hidden from the government is gross. But then, I mean, they are the wealthiest church in the United States, not in the world yet, but in the United States. But I still don't think that even matters, because I think that the Catholic, they all hang out at these. Basically, it's like these Book of Mormon evidence and Firm Foundation and Preparing a People conferences, but for the Pope and the church leaders all around the world. And they go hang out. I don't know what they do. They have spiritual Abrahamic contests, maybe? I don't know. I think they're all going to dupe. I think that's what they're doing. That's just my opinion. That's what it appears to be. I don't know. How, I don't know, but it just seems opposite of, it seems like everybody on the outside of the church is like normal, or I don't know, it's weird. But then everybody in the church is like so self-righteous and better than thou, good for thee but not for me, or good for me but not for thee, or I say it backwards, right? It's that kind of thing. Oh, perfect example is Lori telling Kelsey, Colby's wife, her daughter-in-law, Jesus loves you, but he loves me more. But the hell.
So
That's what I get. That's what
I think Abrahamic tests also
it's like they're
are
trying to
things
talk
that seem
themselves into it.
impossible.
Let me shut up.
Are things that seem impossible.
Mm.
Things that there's no way that we could ever get through this or overcome this.
Just like Chad saying, there's no way that me and Lori could, you know, kill Tammy or kill everybody. I don't know what he meant by that, but that's what I think.
And that there is an appointed time of delivery. We
Mm-mm.
just don't know what it is. And so we're waiting upon that.
What are you waiting for? The call? The like, okay, here, I'm your leader. Somebody higher up than you are. I think this guy has a calling in the church. I think so. I think he says it at the very end. But what are you waiting on? Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. It says things that, okay, let's see. He says oh my gosh. I'll do your will, whatever it is, but please bring peace. He says that kind of uncomfortably too. He says, so I think Abrahamic tests also are things that seem impossible, things that there's no way that me and Lori could, all right. There's no way that we could ever get through this or overcome this and that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misstating this, but anyways, there is an appointed time of delivery. Let's just say deliverance. We just don't know what it is. And so we're waiting upon that. What, the phone call? Is this the thing where Lori is texting Chad and she's like, do you think there is some kind of grand plan or shit, I forgot the word. It's weird. Extravagant or something with an E. I don't know. I mean,
things that there's no way that we could ever get through this or overcome this. And that there is an appointed time of delivery. We just don't know what it is.
I don't like
so
that.
we're waiting upon that. And that in God's appointed time,
oh yeah,
he won't overstep our agency.
My God.
The things that we chose before we were born and what we came to learn through what I call descent phases. So about
descent. Okay, so that's going down. Reminds me of Lori Vallow's allocution where she's talking about her fake near-death experience. And it went down, right? Descendant. Because you're going to hear ascend later, and it might be at the cost of a child. So just know that.
It's coming up on 4 years ago. My wife and I felt like we should begin studying Isaiah. And it was really out of our comfort zone to a certain extent.
What about the people you're hanging out with?
We felt so strongly about it. And one of the things we learned that in Hebrew prophecy, there are different layers. When they wrote prophecies, they wrote them in different layers. And when we learn them, we have to learn to see them and to see the different levels. So
yes.
The first level is called Peshat, and that just means the simple level, the kind of the surface level
like a Peshat
of prophecy.
Sorry.
And, a lot of us maybe have a goal to read the scriptures every day. And that's great. And that's wonderful. It's a good thing to do.
I mean, Lori did. She lived by the scriptures, right? But I mean, that doesn't mean shit. If you do not use your agency to actually live by the scriptures that you read every day, then it's wasted because you're not taking that scripture fuel, and your scripture bus is not going anywhere. It's actually a scripture short bus. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. This is what I have to do to entertain myself sometimes too, because I mean, this is some boring stuff, right? It is, unless it's emotionally charged, which it can be for me a lot, because I listen to these, not just these people, but these kind of people, like-minded people, because I want to understand, and I don't want it from just one person. Everybody's experiences are different. They do differ from everybody else. I mean, it's called individualism and we are individuals. And so you're the only you're ever going to be, like KJ says. And it's true. And so, I mean, we all come from different walks of lives. We all come from different backgrounds, different parents, different looks, different beliefs, even, it's just, I don't know what to do with this yet.
But sometimes if that's as far as we go, we're just kind of getting the very surface level of the scriptures.
You gotta action by action. I remember Grant Palmer. He fell out of the church, I mean, late in life, but he's interesting to see. He's on, oh God, I can't remember the name of the channel. Ex-Mormon Foundation, YouTube channel or whatever. There's a video series of him. And he says the best thing that you can show a Latter-day Saint is grace. He said, because they don't know it. They don't know it. They know what it is. They can tell you about it just like they can tell you about Christ. And they know the scriptures, but they don't live by the scriptures, so to speak. And I'm not blanketing everybody. I'm just saying, with this mindset here, this Lori Chad mindset here, this is like Extremeville for me. This is like, hey, you might need to call the clergy and hold a meeting. I don't want anything bad to happen to these people. I just want them to find their way. And I don't want them to hurt anybody. Nobody's will. God, nobody is telling you that. That is your own internal system, and God won't go to prison, and Satan won't go to prison. Okay? But you will, and your kids will die, or whomever you're wanting to harm, or whomever you harm with these ideas that turn in. It's the driver. It employs the belief to become an action, and then here we go, and then rid the world of the wheats and the tares, and we have the whole Tom Harrison thing all over again. It's not, anyways.
There's a second level of prophecy
hell.
called remez, and it has to do with hints. The scriptures are giving us hints to search the text.
That's what I do.
And to search in relation to other scriptures and other literature or life itself.
Oh, wow.
And that really struck me. There are things that actually happen in our lives that we can include in our searching.
Yes.
Things that happen in our lives, and our family members that can become types. And I'm going to share a couple of those here shortly. The third level 8 called drash, which is searching at deeper levels, where you're looking, you're doing word links in the scriptures, and you're searching for chiasms.
You get some Jeffrey Lundgren.
The chiasms, you can see that.
Or they would say that this is where you get Chad and Lori. I beg to differ. They were just normal. I mean, not normal, but they were brown nosers straight up. Okay. Competition. And Chad, you see him. He judges people by when he looks at a chick and he locks eyes with her in the courtroom while he is awaiting his murder trial for killing his wife and his new wife's 2 kids, and who knows, right? And he locks eyes with her. He's like, brown chicken, brown cow, because he ain't had no loving besides Bubba. And I told you, Bubba's tired of him. Bubba done tossed his ass like a salad. Okay. And so he sees this chick, he locks eyes with her, and then she passes behind him and he does a little swoop, a Chad suave move, which is not suave at all. Right. Picture him in his basketball shorts. Gross. Anyway, so he checks her out and he goes, like he just turned around and he was just like, that ain't good enough, I can't believe I caught that on video. I was like, ew, that's so nasty. He rated her ass right there. Too dark, too light. For dark, you're sealed away. You know,
exactly
Ugh.
what the prophet was trying to say by the way it's structured. And then the fourth and
Uh-oh.
deepest level is called sod, which is hidden. These are the secret or mystical things, such as what we can learn in temple ordinances, and these are the mysteries.
Not the church, the temple. You have to have a temple recommend. In order to get into the temple, you have to be an active and tithe-paying member to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or you will throw a damn hissy fit like Lori damn Daybell and be like, I mean, straight up conspire and then follow through with multiple murders. And just because I'll be damn, he ain't taking my damn temple card, my temple recommend. What the hell? People will kill for this shit. And they have. And there's the proof right there behind me. They're looking at you, and I mean, they're facing you, and you see them. And they're always in my heart and in this conversation. Always. Even when I act an ass. But you know what I'm saying? It's like that's the first initial like separation. That's the first like, here, you got to prove you want to be in this club over here, then you can't just go to regular church. You got to do more and be better, and you got to pay, and you got to be in this status, this class. And then you start. That's when I think the church is like, okay, well, so we can kind of trust these people more because they're like paying, they're subscribing, and they're just like, I don't know. I just picture it's like competition hill. It's like America's Greatest Warrior, Mormon style Temple of the Mound. I don't know. Let me shut up.
Mysteries and knowledge of God.
Uh-oh.
And I just bring that up because
and the mysteries of the kingdom and all that, the mysteries of God, that's this. Mike Stroud was like, oh, they always tell me to stay away from the mysteries of God. And I'm like, why not? John Pontius talks about it in his talk with Tom Harrison. There's all of them. Okay. The kingdom of God, Brigham Young. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's literature for days.
Some of the things we'll talk about tonight, it's important to kind of see that when things happen in our life, maybe we can look at patterns in the scriptures.
Or
Maybe
we can look at our action and our consequences.
Patterns or types in the endowment or in
choice and consequence.
Things that have happened to our family members.
Uh-oh.
And so how do our Abrahamic tests that we're passing through relate to coming to know these mysteries and knowledge of God?
What if you were single?
Clear, but let's
like, what if you were single and you didn't have your family members to lean on or to worry about their struggles, and just worry about your own struggles and where you're falling short as a human, as a parent, as a Latter-day Saint, whatever it is, as a coach. I don't know.
So I like to draw things out just so that it becomes a little bit more clear. But let's, with this particular slide, let's say that the whole screen here represents the infinite mysteries and knowledge of God.
Well, we know he's not going to be inside the box because he's all about being on the outside of the box now. Here's this whole thing. You're not going to hear it in church on Sunday. No, but you will be sitting next to somebody, maybe even serving, calling in your church, in your ward, and they're your leader, and they're doing this shit right here. Okay? And I think that's so crazy. That's gross, really. Because nobody is like better than anybody else. Okay? Nobody. You're not special. You're not special. Okay? You're not exalted. You're not the queen of the 144,000. You are not going to usher in the 144,000 and usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay? So back to reality. Okay? You're not special. Okay? So put on a damn apron and get to work just like the rest of us. Okay? You're not better. Lori's over there in a damn orange jumpsuit, and she's got girlfriends now. She can have as many girlfriends as she wants. She can have a harem. And just saying, it's just like, how are you more righteous? But yet my brother, who Lori, labeled as JJ as, being uh, a drug baby. Well, that was Todd's baby. But yet at Lori's sentencing, my brother, via my mom, forgave Lori. But here's Miss Holier than thou, with chains around her ankles, and it's just so well. Hi pot, I'm kettle. It's so ironic.
The little square in the middle represents maybe our current belief system, and maybe it should be way smaller than how I've drawn it out here. But our current belief system has us kind of boxed in by what we could call veils of unbelief. And the Book of Mormon, it warns us a lot to seek to rend these veils of unbelief.
Doesn't sound good.
And when I say veils of unbelief, it could be things that we believe, but they're just traditions. They're just cultural things that maybe have been passed down. They're precepts of men. And I think there may be a lot of those that keep us from maybe understanding the trials we go through and the trials our children go through.
You stand in the way.
And some of the things that we're seeing happen today. And it's amazing how President Nelson has,
oh Lord,
he said something so profound when he became the prophet. He said, seek to be taught by the Lord himself. That just struck me.
So what President Nelson, if according to him, what he is saying is President Nelson is saying, you have basically what Mike Stroud is teaching. So it's nothing different than regular quote unquote mainstream Mormonism. And that is, you have to inquire and plead. You have to ask people, and they have to. I'm not a Latter-day Saint. I've never been in a temple. Obviously you can tell. And I just have to assume, it looks like in my mind, the way I've read about it all these years now, it's like when you go to Epcot Center, Disney Epcot, and they go through the evolution or whatever. But that's how it is. I picture in my mind when you go through a temple, something, not verbatim, just saying something along those lines, where you go through the celestial station, then you go to the terrestrial. So you're going up, and then in Lori and Chad's infamous Reddit email by Melanie Gibb, she says Lori and Chad traveled to another upper room, which would be above the terrestrial room. So it would be the celestial room, which is where they do second anointings. Okay, and Lori and Moroni gave Lori to Chad. The Savior was there. So who's the effing Savior besides was it a statue or a figment? It's symbolism for something. Okay. And then I read somewhere the other day, I wish I had it all together. It's like I put these pieces together and then I'm like, well, wait, where's that? So that totally explains that over there. But it was, in the infamous Reddit email, Chad is a Holy Ghost. But Tammy's married to Enoch. Well, Tammy's married to Chad, so Chad would be Enoch. But there's something that you go through, I don't know, spiritually or I don't know what do you call that? Endowments, I guess, where it's like a stage, and just like the Church of the Firstborn, it's just a title. It's not a place. It is not, it's an idea. It's a title. And it's once a couple is married in the upper room where Moroni gives Lori to Chad and the Savior's there. And Chad was once Enoch, and he's Raphael, and it's just smoke and mirrors in my opinion. And it's meant to not make sense because that's why it's so secretive. Okay. That's why you can't go into a temple after it's, and don't, I wouldn't either. Every time they do, what do you call it? Bless the temple or whatever. I don't know. It evades me right now, but they do the Hosanna shout. And I'm telling you, that goes with this whole theme of the ritual aspect of it. And I'm just like, ugh. You know, when they say Hosanna, Hosanna to God and the Lamb. I'm ducking, tuck and roll. Don't y'all be doing that with your white hankies, because that's what they do. I feel like that's solidifying, you know, the blood that was spilled, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. I'm just here.
More powerfully than probably anything any prophet's ever said.
Oh, but I meant to say that's a calling and election made sure. A calling and election made sure is when you inquire, when you ask and say, hey, I'm ready to just commit myself, whatever it is, not to the mental hospital, but to the Lord, whatever the Lord is in their minds. And so it's like, okay, Sister Vallow, yeah, she's ready to, you know, to play in our little spiritual wifery system. I don't know what to call it. It's just, I don't know. And I mean, don't take what I'm saying, because trust me, I don't know I don't know the facts. I just have to speculate because it's secret, and it's nobody is like, hey, this is what goes on. You know, and I mean, I would listen. I want to know, but no Mormons will come hang out with me besides a couple, and even ex-Mormons. It's very cliquey, and maybe they don't realize it, but I'm just like, whatever, I give. And I mean, it hurts my feelings, you know, because I mean, I love them. I could talk Mormonese with them. I could also learn from them. They could teach me something, but they run away, and at the behest of their prophet at General Conference, this past General Conference. So I don't know.
I feel like he's inviting us to rend veils of unbelief, to seek to be taught by him what things mean,
In the
and
temple,
not rely on a manual, and not
Wink, wink.
rely on a Sunday school lesson
because
necessarily.
it ain't gonna be in there.
Or
Just like the second anointing's not in the damn manual. It's not. Most Latter-day Saints do not even know of its existence. The ones that do, they cap it by saying, well, that's something that Joseph Smith did back in the day. Wouldn't it? I don't think it ever stopped, because I mean, just for the Utah to become a part of the United Statehood, or, you know, to become part of the statehood, they had to denounce polygamy, or they couldn't become a state. And so they wanted to bleed that beast. Oh yeah. They were like, wow, you know, we want our teeth into that beast. The Constitution's hanging by a thread. And I think it's just to avenge Joseph Smith. Okay. That's just my opinion, which is worth nothing. So, but basically, and so it's like they were like, okay, oh, we got to get a quick revelation from God real quick to say that no, we can no longer practice polygamy. Okay. Woo. Party's over. You know, you ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. And so they're like, okay. But they're like this. They're, you know, they got their fingers crossed, they're behind their backs, and they're like, okay, we denounce it. God gave us a revelation. Sorry, folks. You know, and then here we go with the whole offshoot whirly woo. Okay. Because it is going to be nothing but that until it is finally addressed, until the root of the problem is acknowledged, you know, realized, you know, pointed out, till we identify the root of the problem. If I could just have my way, and then get the problem maker to acknowledge the problem. We got to get that person to acknowledge there's a problem. But we're talking to an institution who they don't apologize. They just don't. They also don't believe in suing. And I mean, I see the fruits of that with Tim Ballard and, you know, Adam Steed. His interview was very insightful, as far as like, you know, he never would sue the church or whatever for them interfering, if not setting up, in my opinion, the therapeutical abuse, all that abuse, alleged abuse from Jody Hildebrandt. was paid for by Daddy Church, allegedly. And, you're blowing the whistle for the Boy Scouts of America. You're pissing some people off, dude. And I mean, you got Frank Vandersloot over there in East Idaho News. He's like a billionaire. He owns East Idaho News. And he's over there like bucking at Adam Steed, the whistleblower. How dare you? you know? And so if we can't make them shut up and stop, nothing to see here, okay? God dang it, nothing to see here. Then they will find a way to shut you up. They do it with non-disclosure agreements. They do it with, I'm gonna say murder in our family here, in our murder. They do it by bullying, character assassination. There's many tactics. They can make your life hell. Why? Money, power, and sex. And it's at the tippity top, right there in the celestial champagne room. Y'all, I'm sorry for a second, but I've said it before. The celestial champagne room, I picture like a champagne room, that Tim allegedly would go to, brothels and stuff. But that's like the celestial kingdom. That's, you get that title to go into you're now into the church of the firstborn, Chad and Lori. You have been anointed second times 2. And here, we got bottle service, but you got to pay for it. You better pay for it. And then they're like popping bottles, but they're in the celestial champagne room, straight up. Okay. I mean, why not? Spiritual wifery. And that is why Tammy is referred to by Lori, I believe, as her special, whatever, her eternal friend. I do believe. And I do believe that this church is okay with doing it, knowing that they're selling 2 people together. And that's how they met, not by some stupid ass books. And not because they found each other on LDS helpline. I mean, not all that too, but the LDS apps, the single apps, dating apps like Melanie Pulaski and Ian Pulaski. I think that they're set up. That's why there seems to be a whole lot of spouses in the wakes, of all these people. Like, really? You've only had one husband now? Oh, is he alive? Oh, how'd he die? Oh, really? It was, what's the word they always say? Unexpected. Died unexpectedly. And I'm like, well, do you ever freaking really expect it? I mean, even if you're sick and you're sick for a long time, I mean, you still don't, you know it's coming, but there's way too many died unexpectedly's here, in my opinion. And Tom Harrison, he's had a wife allegedly before this one that's no longer here, and he had a mission to fulfill. I don't know in which order that came in, but I mean, it begs for to question. I question it. I question a lot of things now. These people have opened my eyes to deception, manipulation, gaslighting, spiritual abuse. They will. How far will you go to act like you're saving a kid? How far will you go to play God? How far will you go to exploit people? How far will you go? I mean, right? So nasty.
The teaching of any man.
Should be ashamed of yourselves.
And so I think about the things that we believe are very soon coming upon us.
What row?
And these are things that Janet and I, there's people we try to talk to about, what we believe.
Are you trying to recruit?
Lies at the door here very shortly.
Oh my God. How long? This was what, 3 weeks ago? Oh shit. Everybody do the roll call on their family. And I mean, don't harass these people, but Randy and Janet Brown to pass the Abrahamic test with our children. With or be at the behest of your children.
I believe that tribulations beyond what most people are willing to even contemplate.
Okay, so like earthquake and you'll just duck off and nobody will notice dead people. Oh God.
Are very, very soon upon us. And I think there's a lot of people that they won't even go there. They won't even look at it. They won't talk about it. They want to stay
They're-
in this sense of normalcy that everything's just going to keep going like it's going now. And
That's because they have a gift of discernment there, dude. And yours, obviously, I'm sorry, not sorry. Yeah. They're like, yeah, it don't feel right. It's that gut feeling. Melanie Fib Gib. Melanie, I cannot recall. That's that gut feeling.
Janet works in the financial industry.
Uh-oh.
And
Life
so you deal
insurance?
with a lot of people who are so worried about their money. And any
Sure.
thoughts on that?
Well, it's getting more and more difficult for me to be there because it feels like it's so unimportant anymore. But
So it sounds like you are leaving all your worldly gifts behind, not taking them with you like Blaze's mom. Y'all, I'm telling you, that's weird. Something wrong with that situation. My kid nose keeps itching. But okay. I mean, Lori had nothing in her damn house except her damn bed.
that I just want to shout, the Savior is
Oh, I hope that's not the Hosanna shout. I just called that
returning. None of this matters, and
second coming.
trusting in Him, and He will take care of us if we do.
He does now.
Yeah.
Originally.
And we get so stuck in this little box of our current belief system.
Trying to get out of the damn box.
And it
Get out
often
of the box.
takes an Abrahamic test.
You're gonna be in trouble. I'm just saying, I think that, but that's if I'm talking to a church that cares and not a church that actually is creating the problem, because church, I believe, is issuing Abrahamic tests. Maybe, I don't know. Allegedly, I don't even know what I'm saying because I don't know what a damn Abrahamic test is. That don't compute in my freaking vocabulary in this century, and definitions change all the damn time in this
For us to
religion.
be ready to rend those veils of unbelief and to
Oh Lord, I'm about to look that
take
up.
on a belief system, that can only
Take
come by
on
being
a belief system. He is about to an Abrahamic test for us to be ready to rend those veils of unbelief and to take on a belief system, that can only come by being taught by the Lord Himself, flesh in the temple, Oh, and Zelemus, yeah, it's happening. Anyways, to come to know, like President Nelson, name drop, got a name drop. You gotta be like, well, this is where I got it. This is how I'm justifying my taking on of this new belief system. And has said that the greatest miracles, and that's another word that bothers me, miracles, blessings, pray. I don't want these people to ever pray for me. And by these people, I mean, I just, you know what I mean? These backwards, upside down, weird belief systems, practices. But okay. Himself, to know, like President Nelson has said that the greatest miracles the world has ever seen are going to happen between right now and His coming in glory. Okay, well, there's nothing new there. Okay, obviously, because you can't say anything before you, and all you have is now. So this is your reality, and you're already living for the next alleged reality, but you only get one life, bud and budette. And I mean, I've witnessed a lot of Mormons who are in these forums and chat rooms, and they are talking about the whole celestial, think celestial, or that shit, and who can minister to what. You have the 3 degrees of heaven, so there's going to be some people and it's not really necessarily talking about the afterlife is what I'm trying to get at. This is actually, I believe, what's in motion like now. And I ain't no damn prophet. I just got a little, gut feeling. Trust it. And it's weird to say it out loud because it is weird, but it's not my weird and it's not my crazy, but whatever. Do with what you will. You're your own person, And if not, take your coat and your hat and stay where you're at. Whatever you want to do, it's on you. Nobody's the boss of you. You don't follow anybody. You can't keep looking. I mean, we all tend to do that. We look at our peers. We look we look to our authoritative roles, like teachers and policemen and firemen and your alleged clergy. But Uncle Charles did all that, and it let him down, and then some, and then more. But I'm just saying, you just need to be a man. And y'all, I mean, they look like they are empty nesters, I mean, they look like they are grandparents at this point. And I don't know. It just,
Taught by the Lord himself. To come to know, like President Nelson has said, that the greatest miracles the world has ever seen.
and so I don't know if they're like kind of like fishing for information, like feedback, or is it dual purpose? Because usually it is. Are they fishing for feedback and in that Mormon way, how they brag and they can't shut their mouths about it? Can't. They just are like, I gotta tell you something so juicy, right? I mean, oh my God, yeah, I see that too. Woo.
Are going to happen between right now and his coming in glory.
Uh-oh.
We will need those miracles to survive.
You need them now.
His coming in glory, not only spiritually but physically.
Here you go. Read this book. It talks about miracles.
The Lord showed Nephi that the power of God in great glory is coming upon the saints and the covenant people of the Lord.
And so they automatically assume that they are those people, that they fit in that criteria. That's another thing that bothers me. I'm like, wait. I mean, you just assume that you're gonna. It's like a exceptionalism, I guess you call it. Yeah. You can thank this book for contributing to that shit right there, what he just said.
Oh, seems like we need Abrahamic trials and paradoxes to break this little box of our current belief system for us to be ready to really say, I want that. And
you want that, or are you required that, or did you get assigned that? You're waiting on the call on that? And in the temple, or like your real relationship with your inner self, or your God, or your source, your conscience? Like, where are we checking right now? Who are we asking besides everybody?
Take the unprecedented measures that are necessary to prepare for that.
I don't like that word, measures. Weigh in measures.
And
book.
Those trials that we have are
coming soon. Just kidding. Hopefully not.
But develop our faith to the extent that we can. Then exhibit during these really difficult times coming a great faith that will allow us to calm down.
A greater faith, greater light and knowledge, more light. There's something extra over there. It's a shiny carrot this time. It might be gold. And then you get over there, and you finally get your teeth around the damn carrot, and it's like brass plate or something. Oh, I didn't mean that in that way. No, that's kind of funny. Brass plated. Anyways.
Miracles.
His protection and miracles.
Yeah.
Wait, his protection and miracles. Interesting. I'm still trying to learn stuff through what they're saying.
And so, if we're going to talk about Abrahamic trials, we probably should talk a little bit about Abraham and Isaac.
Oh, God. Let's not.
And, why were they called to go through what they went through? And it wasn't just Abraham.
So he waited this long.
So I want to propose something. What if both Abraham and Isaac covenanted in the pre-existence to go through their paradoxical test together?
So if Tylee and Lori made, they were like, okay, mom, you're gonna murder me when I'm 16. All right. And yes, Jesus, I will take that life. I'll take that mission. And then Lori's like, hell yeah, I love Chad. and don't count for me, slams her hand on the counter. So this is what I'm This is what I'm getting. What if, okay? Never have I ever, right?
What if both Abraham and Isaac covenanted in the pre-existence to go through their paradoxical test together? It wasn't something that was just sprung on them willy-nilly, that it was planned ahead of time.
Not with your freaking knowledge. I don't remember my past life. You don't either. You're just told that. You were taught that. Indoctrination is a hell of a thing. Woo! Because you don't believe in you don't believe in reincarnation, but you do believe in multiple mortal probations. That's what that tells me. That's what that tells me when people say the pre-existence. I'm like, so what does your pre-existence look like? I mean, it's like, what? It's okay to get definitions and people's definitions for what mainstream for me. If I wouldn't have just bit right on into it and just been like, oh, mainstream, okay, I guess I assume that that's just like most people, the majority. It's acceptable socially, you know what I mean? I didn't realize, and I mean, me and mom watched Big Love. I'd go to her house and we'd like watch it every damn week. But I know, but it is like this a little bit. Gotta say, it's where, it's what inspired the damn show. It's not just for fun. But I don't know. This is nuts.
They both covenanted to participate in it.
Uh-oh.
So
Isaac's like, okay, Dad, yeah, you can kill me when I'm an infant, but then, yeah, and okay.
Seems to coincide more with my experience of the Lord telling me I can't overstep
so you can't miss the mark, is what he's saying.
What you chose in the pre-existence.
Okay, so because, interesting. So just like Tim Ballard, allegedly, Chad, Julie, I mean, all these people that we've heard of using this, we were married before in a pre-existence. So you were my wife before, which means we can F-U-C-K over here, okay? We can screw and still be married to our spouses. So we can, do it. Here's the loophole. There's going to be a loophole always. They've found it. The churches have found the loopholes in the 501c3s, nonprofits, and the Constitution of the, United States. And they exploit the hell out of them. And in my opinion, they are abusing the rest of us in society who have to live among them. We all feel their reach, some more than others, some not as severe as others. Either way, there's so many more victims in the wake of the church, in the wake of the twisted ass thinking that is toxic and just runs through the genealogical veins of Mormonism for sure. I don't study anything else. This was my introduction into the Book of Mormon, was Lori and Chad. So anyways, but I still came at it with a open mind, open heart. I had no biases. I really, I still don't. Whatever, do what you do. Just don't hurt people. That's it. That's all I'm here to do and make sure. I'm like a room mother, I'm just like, what y'all doing over here? You okay? Is he treating you nice? Let me know. And I mean, just a lookout, another watchtower, if you will, not in any other sense, but just like, what's really going on? It opened my eyes to a lot of things that I had no idea existed.
And what Abraham and Isaac were covenanting to learn from this experience, again, was not something any man could teach them, not something that could be found in a Sunday school manual or.
So it's okay to murder. It's okay to sacrifice. No one was murdered here. allegedly, with Lori saying that at her allocution. He is justifying something that, from just the vibe of it, from what we've learned thus far, 25 minutes into this, and thus far, I've learned that, it's the will of God, waiting on a call, um, to whatever might be coming at them. I don't know what they're going to be tasked to do, but it goes into that hunch I have, or that thought I have of like, oh my God, what if the people higher than Chad and Lori, people higher than all these rogue, seemingly, oh, he's a cult leader. He's a cult leader. Yeah, he's a cult. They're all cult leaders. I mean, cult, right? But that only, that doesn't solve anything. Okay. It does not stop source. And so if what we allow is what will continue, and that is why I am here time after time. I don't care how long it takes, however long the good Lord will keep me here doing this, whatever, I'm gonna do it until I can't, until my conscience is clear and I've fulfilled the vow I made to my uncle and to Tylee and to JJ, and by extension to Joe and Tammy, to never stop until those that have my family's blood on their hands are held accountable. And then until that lets off, this throttle is just going. And so here I am just trying to keep up and trying to make sense of something that's nonsensical. And you just can't, make it's nonsensical. And so it's different for everybody, but it's still the same. To me, this is like the phase of, to me, it's like we've gotten to see different phases of what resulted in with Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. That's the worst case scenario, in my opinion. That's like, you failed, like, whoa, okay. That's if you let all these things go through and nobody red flagged them, they slipped through the cracks. It just, I don't know. The planets lined up and people looked the other way and continue to, and then are also told by their church not to participate in investigations and stuff because it'll cramp their style. I don't know. It's really shitty though. And it's obstruction of, it's illegal and it's morally wrong. It's morally unacceptable. Okay. You heard it here first, but so it's like what they're doing is they're justifying all of these beliefs of this outside of the box. You're not going to hear it in Sunday, in church on Sundays. You're not going to hear it in Sunday school. You're not going to hear all these outside of the box ideologies or whatever you call them. You're not, because this is like special. This is a higher calling. And this is, we're going to liken ourselves to, old prophets in the Bible, from the Bible, and their experiences, and we're going to compare them verbatim. Okay, because but you're having to kind of you're fishing for feedback from your audience, who sometimes aren't even Latter-day Saints like myself, who are just trying to make sense of some stuff. So I tune into people, randomly sometimes, and that's how I meet you. That's how I come to know you. And you don't know me, but this is how I come to know you, and how I get a better sense of understanding, justice through understanding, so that I can apply that and try to make sense of the worst case scenario in our lives. And it was our family members being murdered. They don't come back and just pretend like there's no other lives, because nobody can prove that. You have no proof of that. You're just told that. So you're like, oh, okay. It's just like a default or something. Well, okay. No, step outside the box and like, oh yeah. Okay. Self-awareness. Maybe like, oh shit, I only have on YOLO. You only get one life. Hello. Um, so we've seen where, okay, so follow me on this. So there is, this to me is like the pre-meditation state or tier, whatever you want to call it, stage. The pre-medit, like this is like just the idea is planted. This outside of the box idea is planted and you don't know what to do with it. You have all these probably men that you look up to that have an authoritative position, and you just know they're good because every Latter-day Saint is good because they are part of the one true church. They are the only ones in this world, according to them, who can deliver the truth and recruit other Gentiles who don't have the truth, who don't have the light, so to speak, and they can recruit them into their belief system. They can't hang out with them though, and they normally don't. In fact, there's a lot of shunning that goes on from people that I've talked to who have been non-Mormon, who have been, raised in Salt Lake City or whatever, just around a highly populated Mormon population. And they don't, when you're picking teams, they don't pick the Gentile. And it's just bully. It's very Mean Girls, it's like so Mean Girls. It's not fetch at all. And it's abuse, because silence is also abusive. Um, it just is. It's just stuck up and hoity-toity. And I mean, you poo-poo too. You poo-poo too. You wipe your ass. You do. Do. You do. And I mean, you're no better than anybody else. Your leaders are no better than anybody else. They're men too, and they fornicate and obviously, do stuff uh, that you just seem to turn your blinders off to. But anyways, let me get back to the thing. So we have early stage. This is the beginnings. This is like plant the seed. This is like, oh shit, what do we do? Do we go with? I mean, John and Peter and Paul. They wouldn't let me down. No. Oh no, they're good guys, and but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know if they're being protected by Merton Kamonke, law firm. You don't know anything. Lori Vallow was my aunt. I didn't know she was a freaking murderer in the making to be, she was well on her way. I didn't see that train wreck. And so here we are. Here we are. So with this being the very beginning of what comes to be in our story, is this is the beginning. This is the planting the idea. This is, maybe they were sealed to other people in the temple. Maybe a second anointing occurred. I don't know when they're, I'm just speculating. And then we go into Melanie Pulaski territory. Kinda. I don't know. She's right there with Blaze. I say Blaze Thibodeau because I can remember his name and I don't have to say all the other names. But the Thibodeaus. In that case, I didn't see any. Of course, I didn't really look, but there's Melanie Pulaski's like trying to get her kids. She's like banging on her soon-to-be ex's door, her ex-in-laws, soon-to-be ex-in-laws, where her kids are staying, where they're safe, where they're sound. And this hooker drives there with her uncle, Alex, who is an alleged angel of death. And then death. Drop the angel. And he's a shit shot too, by the way. So you show up there and you're trying to get your kids, but then we find out in trial testimony, not because of, Ian or anybody being like forthcoming and doing the right thing, because I mean that's against the religion, I do believe. And so you have Melanie showing up trying to get her kids, and then she's asking for a damn victim's advocate. All the while in trial testimony, we find out that 2 of her freaking kids, of her 2 out of the 4, I mean, and that's just however long they might have been waiting on the call. I mean, to me, that's, I see it. And so, yeah. And so she tried to get them. If Melanie Pulowski would have got her lying ass effing hands on those kids, would they have had more burial sites on Chad Daybell's property? Hey, thought. And so, but because that happened the way it did, she didn't get her hands on her children. So they were spared. Thank God. And then you truck on into Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie. And no. Then you go Blaze Thibodeau. That would be the 1, 2, third tier up. Okay, that would be Blaze Thibodeau. He came home, thank God. And then they even cited Lori Vallow in the case in Arizona court papers. I don't know the motives of the dad. I don't too much trust the motives of the dad, but that's neither here nor there. Don't matter what I think. I'm just glad that Blaze is safe, because ultimately he is the victim in this. Adults can do whatever they want. The children don't get that choice, that luxury, that they don't have that. They're stuck at your mercy. And then you go into the Hildebrandt territory and Frankie territory. And that's when you have R and E. And they were about to be Tylee and JJ. And that's how that staged. That's that chart for me. I'll make a visual, because I'm a visual person too. But that makes a lot of sense. Does it make sense to y'all? I know I'm really been here for 800 hours. I don't know. I mean, do y'all see anything in this? I haven't looked at the comments at all. So I appreciate y'all being in here. It's been 2 hours and 22 minutes. And I really I'm going to hit the hot spots. Actually, I have it on my phone. We're just going to listen to it via my phone. Playing through the speaker like a podcast.
Battery 100%. Connected to precious item.
All right.
PLSSED.
Okay. Okay. This bothers me.
Like and share this content.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you an eclipse that most people haven't talked about at all.
Mormon thing to do, and it's such a
whoa.
thing for questioning Mormons to do. To want to share what they learned.
Stop, John DeLanne. I don't know where he came. Oh, I'm not in my photo app. Hello. Okay, here we go. Like here it goes.
You know this a little bit, but what if Abraham and Isaac both covenanted the pre-existence to go through their paradoxical test together? And if they did, and that's a pattern and a type, it would certainly make sense that we perhaps have done the same thing.
Well, certainly a whole other way of looking at it, rather than just here's Abraham and he was strong and stalwart, and but he had a wife and he had children and people that were relatives that went with him and followed him, and I mean all of them.
They followed him. So they're like, okay, well they were in a cult, so, or you know what I mean, unhealthy organization. And so we have to follow somebody. Are you going that way? Because I'm following you. I don't know. I'm not shaming them for that. I'm just, I don't know. I have a poem that I actually, do not follow me, for I will not lead. Something follow you. I don't know. It says, just stand beside me and be my friend. And that's where I'm at. And I know I jacked it up, but I'll find it and share it with y'all next time. Don't follow me, because I don't know. I'll get it. Anyways.
Children and people that were relatives that went with him and followed him. And I mean, all of them were together helping each other and learning from each other.
I don't know.
So is it possible that we agreed with our children to endure similar paradoxical sacrifices? Not, not maybe placing them on the altar and killing them, but is it possible our children agreed to suffer in order to help us learn?
Okay, there was. Hold on. We're right here at the cusp of it, so we're gonna go to it. He's right here.
I think also Abraham and Isaac were given, were able to see the awful reality of the condescension of God, not only from the Savior's point, how far he had to condescend to rescue and deliver us, but from the Father's point of view as well. And I kind of lay that as a foundation for us and our children. Did we actually covenant with our children to go through certain paradoxical Abrahamic trials that really won't make sense in our little box of current beliefs until we perhaps pass through them and are taught by the Lord himself? So,
I mean, did y'all catch that? Because that I didn't catch that till just now, but it gets worse. Hold your asses. hold your phone. Hold your pearls. It's right here.
I'd like to share a little bit of our experience with our daughter. And I'm going to turn a lot of this over to my wife, but
why?
Our daughter was born 8 years after we thought we were done with children. We had 3 sons.
Don't have
and all of a sudden a daughter comes. And she was the most glorious surprise we've ever experienced.
I saw her butt coming.
She was just beautiful and joyful, and she woke up every morning singing. It just brought so much joy to our life.
She brought past tense.
And in this joy.
Ooh, I'm sorry. That's Lori Vallow saying he's safe and happy. Joy. I heard freaking Janet Russin say it too. Some of joy.
Somehow we had this premonition that this light that she was bringing to our lives that was so glorious was going to, the light was going to be dimmed or taken.
Okay, I didn't hear this part. Oh shit, she just turned zombie. She just went dark. Holy hell. Oh my God. Yeah, no. There's something wrong. Hell no. Shame on you.
And in this joy, somehow we had this premonition that this light that she was bringing to our lives that was so glorious was going to, the light was going to be dimmed or taken. And my wife and I, we were in probably the most joyful time of our life, but yet we had this premonition, this fear, this feeling that this might be taken from us.
So you took it upon yourself or what? What's going on here?
And she didn't die physically.
Huh?
But she went through, she was taken from us in just about every possible way you could imagine. And
she did not die physically. Okay. Did they have to cast her out? It's hard to push a spirit out of its body, and where it goes to die, it never gets to enter the body again. And so you have to kill the body in order for it to move on and out of limbo.
Can you share some of your feelings on?
Holy hell. I can share some of mine. Yes.
Well, as she was going through, started
Normal
in junior
shit?
high and what we know now,
Rebellion? Oh my God. This reminds me of okay. Tylee, when she was, 12, 13, when she became difficult. Oh my God.
Some emotional illness.
Maybe didn't do carpet or blanket time good enough.
But she drifted away, and
she just said grift.
It was in little bits, and we thought we were doing okay, and we just kept trying. And this was when I started to get desperate, and
how does they're measuring? They are measuring themselves as parents by what their daughter is doing. that is their worth to the projection, the image, I think. Maybe.
Trying to save her, and our relationship became
non-existent.
more and more
Estranged.
difficult, and she pulled away, and
She
it
went
was
dark.
so hard to understand because it was so opposite of
Oh,
what it had been.
poor daughter.
And her joy was gone, and her spontaneity and
Because you're assholes to
joyfully
her, I guess.
singing was gone.
I mean,
And
unconditional love.
and
Right.
she didn't want to talk to us, and our heart was breaking, and we didn't know how to help
What about
her
her
or how to
heart?
save her.
You don't save her. You just save yourselves, and then you got to worry about yourself.
It was
Right.
excruciating. I'm sure many of you have experienced that,
Yeah.
not knowing how to save our child, and our prayers were all about, how do we save her? And I was certain
What have we done wrong?
Love her.
that I knew, yes, then that I knew what needed to happen and what she needed.
Don't judge her.
And
Don't grade her.
and again felt like I'd been taught things that should have been able to help.
No,
But
you're dimming her light.
weren't. And eventually, it was so difficult, and I received a blessing.
Oh shit.
That instead of instructing me on how to help her,
you cannot blame this blessing. Don't go there. You need to go look in the mirror and just have allow yourself to see yourself. It's not going to be pretty, but we all have to look at ourselves and reckon with that, with who we are, how we are as a person, how we love as a person, how we allow love as a person, how we are with our friends and families and coworkers and peers and people that you run into at a damn convenience store, just strangers. Okay. It's humanity and not just about being a saint, because it's not that at all. It's just a title. You have actually got to prove it by action. Okay. Not belief, not action. Your choice here, Larry, here's Larry, right? Choice, consequence. Choice. I mean, whether you make a good choice, a bad choice, you're like, oh, you learn from it, like, oh shit, I won't do that again. Or let me change it, right? Because when we do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's insanity. But if she's about to blame a priesthood blessing and about what she thought she had been taught, up to this point, when all she had to do, or all she has to do, is just listen, just be there for her, anybody, and just don't expect anything in return. Not everybody's going to do the way you want them to do. That's called free agency. There's your free agency. And you can't force anything. You can't. Nobody can force you to do anything. I can't force you to stop talking about this Abrahamic test. I can't. I can hope and pray and raise awareness. I don't know, learn. I can do all kinds of things. I can listen. I can criticize it. I can talk it out. I don't know.
Told me that this was for me. This experience was for me to learn.
Well, yeah.
And so I struggled with trying to understand that.
Still are.
But it was good to have a different perspective.
They're run of the mill. Look, I mean, here's Tylee. Here's Tylee's. Okay. This is Tylee's priesthood blessing. And here is Colby's. Actually, Tylee's is on the behind. Colby's is 2 pages. Oh, so is Tylee's. Yeah. Tylee's on the back of it. It says, I bless you that in time and according to your worthiness, you may be blessed to enter the holy temple of the Lord. Oh, well, God bless her, right? Anybody that gets to just pay to play to be a proxy and baptize people who don't want to be baptized in your church. Just saying. Okay. To receive all ordinances, endowments, and covenants vital to life in the presence of God. They will be binding. I've learned the other day that there should be no talk. You don't bind. That's only on the dark side. Which is they have the 144,000 dark and they have the 144,000 light, allegedly. As above, as much good as, okay, anyways. I don't want to go into those weeds. All right. Among these ordinances is the eternal marriage covenant to a mate of your choice. Oh, well, thank you, right, for Tylee. That you shall receive for time and all eternity. So blessed. Oh, yeah. A posterity shall be added unto you both with a sacred trust to ensure that you... Oh, okay. They have a YOU and then space R. Anyways, that your home and family becomes a sanctuary where the love of Christ and his gospel will be paramount. I now bless you to come forth on the morning of the first resurrection, prepared for the sons, I bet, and daughters of God, who endure to the end in righteousness. You, your eternal companion, and family to be, and loved ones, predicated upon your righteousness, shall meet the Lord at his second coming and abide with him in the celestial kingdom forevermore. To that end, I bless you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And so that was this is Tylee's blessing. And this is December 18th, 2016. Her father is listed on there and her mother and Kauai. And Patriarch Alroy L.N. Enos. And then, I mean, it's front and back, but I know. I just brought that up because it's right there. But the first thing I saw was to your worthiness. And it obviously, she don't have an eternal companion because, she didn't get to live that long. Because here we go. We're making choices. We are trying to force a narrative because it has to make sense, and anyways, because they are also being manipulated and spiritually exploited in every sense of the word. But then it's like a lot of times the abuser becomes the abused. I mean, abused becomes the abuser, not every time, but just it's like hurt people, that saying I say. So if somebody hurts you, I mean, it's natural, if you're bullied all the time, but then sometimes you become the bully. Okay. And so that's where we have to really check ourselves. I mean, just hold a mirror up to some of these people and yourself, myself, just hold a mirror up, because sometimes we're just projecting everything that we are really lacking inside, that we desire inside, that we're missing. That's my opinion.
Worried about her and didn't really change anything that I was doing except trying to have this other perspective. And one day,
how do you want to be treated?
It was just as if the veil parted for the minute amount of time, and I was overwhelmed with a feeling of gratitude for her willingness to go through what she was going through so I could learn what I needed to learn.
For a minute.
And I mean, that was one of many experiences in my life.
So her daughter so then she was grateful for a minute. Okay.
That brought me to an absolute total, belief doesn't seem like a strong enough word, but I know that
turns into actions and actual
participated in the planning of our lives, and that the details.
Now, this is a regular, normal Latter-day belief. Okay. That's why Lori says what she does. Like, she was meant to be on Wheel of Fortune. This is why. It's not weird or extreme in the context of Mormonism.
Participated in the planning of our lives, and that the details were intricately orchestrated.
Oh, there's that
to
word.
do exactly what they're supposed to do for everyone.
Do you think there's a perfectly orchestrated plan? Okay. Okay, that's what I was trying to think of earlier.
One involved. The things that
I'll back it up.
intricately orchestrated to do exactly what they're supposed to do for everyone involved.
If I hear obstacles, I'm bouncing.
Things that we are supposed to learn through our experiences, the thing that others learn from their interactions with us and vice versa.
Yeah. But really
But
learn, not
when
just
we
say you learn.
come to fully see and understand that, we'll be amazed.
Yeah, I originally was, I felt betrayed
By your daughter?
and was very angry.
Pride, maybe?
That's because I was in this little box of my current beliefs.
Huh? No,
But-
that's no. Your beliefs? That's character.
It was only by passing through this paradox, this trial that made no sense,
Google it, paradox.
that the Lord was able to teach us things we couldn't have been taught in any other way. And so through
So these
this,
are lessons, I guess. These blessings, this higher calling is a lesson. It is a test. It's all kinds of things, huh?
my wife and I believe we were called.
Oh. Now, if this ends up going off the rails sometime soon, or if it hadn't already, this was 3 weeks ago, the end of December 2023. So just 2-3 weeks ago. My wife and I believe we were called. So this is where they can't really talk. If it did happen in the temple, we will never know. Why? Because they will never tell. I mean, I'm looking at Lori at her freaking trial, and I'm just like, how far will you go to not save your life? Like, I can't believe that she did not, like, if my intuition, my gut, everything that I've studied and researched, and I'm just like, how is she not throwing everybody? I'd be like, "Rah," but you take a blood oath. And so you're either going to die via, being in prison and maybe possibly potentially getting the death penalty, or some other ways. They have death angels and stuff, and they don't call them Mormon Mafia because they are cute and nice and legitimate, legit saints. You know what I mean? Like, they're not perfect. Yeah.
Pass through sanctifying paradoxical Abrahamic trials.
No, David Warwick ruined me. David Warwick ruined me on the whole sanctification thing because he says it a little too much. But his tender is another word. Received. I don't like it. Some just weird words that I'm just like, that doesn't go here. Don't say that. Don't say sacrifice. Sometimes, I understand. But anyways.
Sanctifying paradoxical Abrahamic trials.
It's just like the context of Chad referring to a raccoon when it comes to Tylee and her remains. When he texts Tammy, I believe that is a quote unquote, a racial slur. I mean, I would assume that it's like more Aryan brotherhood there. Oh, Chad Daybell. If he's, I don't know, something weird there. And the way when I was listening to Lori's trial, more of the testimony about Tammy and, her 911 call, and, just listening to Vince Kayakamanu with Fremont County Sheriff Department. And he's talking about how, he's like crazy kid, he's getting redirected or whatever by John Thomas. And he's like a crazy kid or whatever. And so they basically blamed the paint gun shooting at Tammy, the attempted shooting at Tammy Daybell on October 9th, 2019. And so there's like this whole theory. I'm like, it's like Mayberry, playing a true crime board game. That's what it sounds like. And I don't mean that ugly. That's the gist, I guess, what I get off of it, the vibe I get. And it's like, but everybody's like, so okay. Even Tammy too, because we just have, I don't know, we have the way we talk, and sometimes it's just ignorant, and I'm the worst. I'm the best example of this, I say inappropriate things all the time. And not on purpose. It's just, I don't know. Anyways, and so everybody's just like picking on this kid who was named as being a potential shooter at Tammy, because they thought it was a paintball gun. It was very diminished. It was very dismissed. Nothing to see here, right? I don't know if the point of that was to scare Tammy, because when I'm researching into the case of David Hamblin, Gordon Bowen, David Levitt, that whole, oh my God. Okay. And then and then I found some more on that too. We got to cover that too. Not today, but, okay. And then you have Jody and her track record there with Jessie, her niece, and with the Frankie children. Okay. And so David Hamblin, a Mormon therapist, the Hamblin case, horrible a case. Okay. And in Utah. And then here you go with, it's like they're doing the same thing. Tom Harrison, maybe, I don't know, because I don't think he worked in aftercare like Tim Ballard said. What are they doing with these therapists? And that's not the only one. You can go just Google it up, and you will see there's plenty of Utah therapists that have now landed their asses on floodlit.org. Y'all go support them, please. It's for Mormon sex offenders, and a lot of them are in the church. A lot of them are therapists. A lot of them get away with abuse. A lot of them get rebaptized into the church. Why? Okay. So, but what I've learned from the David Hamblin case is that people within his circle would allegedly get him to train their children. Okay. Right. But if you factor in, you do the background research on David Hamblin, his father, he worked, did experiments basically with a reward system for low-income families. It was government funded. He was a sociologist. And then here comes Hamblin. He's a not so much a psychologist, but he's a therapist. Sex therapist at that. But there's former clients that he's allegedly abused that, it's been like since the Satanic Panic, and they're still trying to get him to court. Okay. Still, they just had a setback. So, it's just, and there's a lot of high ranking members of the church and in politics involved allegedly in that one case, just that one case. And I do believe it branches out. This is just me and my assumption. I'll put my foot in my mouth later. I'll say I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. I will publicly apologize. I just want answers. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's something wrong with there being something wrong for asking questions. Okay? It's human nature. Get over it. Just, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're in trouble. It just means I would like to know more details. What do you have? And unless you have something to hide, I don't really know. I don't know unless I ask. And nobody's been very forthcoming. Nobody. Pretty much. Everything we've learned through hard work and research and never giving up, and a lot of time that we never get back, just to try and make sense of something that will never fully make sense. And that's okay. I understand that. But I'm going to get the most I can because they deserve it. The victims deserve that. They deserve our voices. To turn and look the other way is to silence another victim. All right, let me finish this.
now part of our belief system that we agreed as families to pass through things that would sanctify each other. That would have never been a part of a Sunday school lesson or a manual or, again, it was only something that the Lord could teach us because
the Lord is not here and he's not in your temple. I don't know if they are dressing up or if there's a hologram. Again, something I saw at Disney World. Okay. Okay. So what is going on? I want everybody. I just want them to do away with nonprofits or ban freaking churches. If they can't get their ratios, to balance out like they do with debt to income ratio, you balance that or you don't get a loan. Well, you don't get your 501c3. You don't get to hide behind your nonprofit because you're doing such good humanitarian work. Okay. There's got to be checks and balances. There's got to be some kind of regulation or something on them that they have to report to. We all have to be held accountable. We all have to be accountable for what we do. And they are not. They are going unchecked, untethered. They're just like, oh, okay. That's what happens when Scientology happens. And then everybody was like, oh, hell, look, Scientology. And the Mormon church was like, let's go. Run, Joseph, run. Okay, awesome.
We went through this experience. We were given, we believe we were given a promise of deliverance. Just like when I asked the Lord to remove this thorn in the flesh that I had for 30 years.
So something that bothered
him. He said, I can't overstep, your agency.
He's like, deal with it.
But there is an appointed time of deliverance. We know
appointed
that.
time?
Once the crucible has fully worked its purpose,
I'm writing down.
We'll see the mighty power of deliverance.
Oh my God.
And lastly, that, we promised that we would trust him in all things, no matter how paradoxical,
What did he say back?
How seemingly crazy.
Always crazy.
Things might be.
Oh yeah.
Seemingly, we promised that we would trust him in all things.
Oh, that goes with us. See him, follow him, trust him. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I'm just making a loud note so my mods hear me and we can talk about it later.
No matter how paradoxical, no matter how seemingly crazy things might be.
And they're going to gaslight the hell out of you, dude.
And we've seen this in our extended family.
Uh-oh. Randy and Janet Brown
has a sister.
Oh, this is the Stacey Cox
who went through some things like our daughter. This was years before we went through it with our daughter. Janet grew up in a family where her dad was our bishop. Her dad was our stake president.
Ooh.
Her dad currently is our
he's serving her dad,
our stake patriarch.
Uh-oh.
Faithful members of the church.
And here you are outside
everything, the family home evenings, and yet they have this daughter that I'm going to let Janet again tell you about her and what she went through. And
well, as a teenager, she began to act out. She was adopted.
She was adopted.
And she started
adopted. Oh, she was adopted. I feel so sorry for the adopted children. And okay. And the indigenous
difficulties in her life. I don't think she felt like she fit in our family.
Oh.
But
maybe you didn't let her.
She began to rebel and act out, and eventually she was addicted to drugs.
Oh, God.
She had several illegitimate children.
Okay, so but are you addicted to religion? I mean, can we just call a spade and just say you're a bit extreme in the religion and the beliefs? It's no different. I mean, just one extremism is just as bad as the next. You can die of a water overdose. That's happened in Lori's family tree, if you know what I mean.
She at one point was part of a gang.
Okay, what's the difference? Mormon Mafia. I'm just saying.
She had experiences, and we have had experiences as a family because of her experiences, that it was a world we didn't know existed. It was
because you're privileged. You're white privilege, in my opinion.
Unbelievable. And she went through that for years, and there were a few times when she would kind of come back and try and change her life a little bit, and
I like her,
and end
I
up
like her
right back where she was, until
you're being really slow.
Until she was about 40, I guess.
And she have children,
and I was talking to her on the phone. She was going through a really hard time. She was living back east, and my father and I felt like we had to go and get her and save her.
Oh her. God, here's Savior complex coming. Captain Save-A-Ho.
From her situation.
Awful
we did. We got on a plane and we went and got her, and we brought her home.
Willingly?
And
she lived here in our home.
She lived here with us.
Until what?
And over the next couple of years, she overcame all those things.
Resilience.
She was able to let go of a lot of her fears. She changed her life.
Probably abused.
In so many ways, and eventually received a patriarchal blessing.
Oh shit.
From her father.
Hers or your father?
In that blessing, excuse me, he told her, or he said, that
this reminds me of Chad and Alex.
She had chosen to come here and have some very specific experiences in her life so that she would be able to help certain people. And that without those experiences, they would not have.
She chose to be killed. I'm asking. I don't know.
And it was just another testimony of that purpose. I mean, there have been so many times I feel like the Lord has shown me and taught me through different things that our lives have that purpose, even those really horrible things. You look at this experience so much differently. Here, first you're like, my child is lost, my child is rebelling, my child has run away, my child. But in the end,
you that's lost.
You know what? We don't know.
In the end,
we don't know what that does for them, what that has been for other people, but what if they chose that to sacrifice their life so that they could help other people.
What the hell?
And
no.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was almost as if the Lord.
Where are they at? I want to know. I want a head count right now. Mark safe.
Moved his hand and said, "The appointed time has come."
Oh God, no! That just reminded me of Lafferty brothers, because there was the one brother who was the arm, and then there was the other who was the hand of the Lord. Ooh, Zelima was the eye of the Lord. Oh shit!
And Janet and her father went and rescued her and brought her home here. And in the short time she lived with us in our home, just major changes. She and I had gospel discussions frequently.
4 years, okay.
She got reactivated in the church, and like Janet said, got her patriarchal blessing. And then shortly after that, she passed away. It was if right before her time to pass, the Lord worked this mighty miracle of deliverance.
Right before.
And again, we wouldn't have learn certain things. We would still be stuck in our little box of current beliefs.
So her coming back or being brought back by her sister, her adopted sister, and her adopted dad, who's a state whatever patriarch, and then she's in her 40s, and then so she spends a couple years. That's what I got, and then with them, living with them, and she found her way back to the Lord, so to speak. And then she was even rebaptized into the church, so she was saved, right? Okay, and then but then they said that she came back. So I don't know if this is the same time frame or not, but then her adopted father gave her a patriarchal blessing, and then boom, shortly after she died. So I don't know. And then the way he's saying all the other stuff, if we would have stayed deliverance, and again, we wouldn't have learned anything if we from that experience. If we'd still be stuck in our little box of current beliefs. Why? Because you grow with, I don't know where he's going with that. All right.
Because of things our extended family have gone through, we know that there's deep purpose in every family member's trials and experiences. And there is an appointed time of deliverance, just like there was for Isaac in his Abrahamic trial with his father. There's an appointed time of deliverance when
render
these sacred agreements. And on top of that, there's sanctification and consecration that takes place in the lives of the parents and the loved ones.
Why the parents? No kids are allowed?
Another pattern is that of
no kids.
Alma and his son, who we call Alma the Younger. Why would that have been included in the Book of Mormon? We know the Book of Mormon is
because it's copy. Okay, wait, name something different. Anyways, Uncle Charles loved, or he liked Alma. I think it was a senior. I don't know. I probably might have that wrong.
It was written for our day. It was written to prepare us for the second coming. Is there a type for us? Is there a pattern for us? For me as a parent, I look at Alma, the senior, and
it was
how
the nicer one.
How wrenching of an experience that must have been for him to watch his son go through this, and the power of his prayers, and how sanctifying that must have been for him, and how much that must have assisted him in ascending spiritually. Finally, he had the power to call down a miracle.
So, I've heard that before. Calling down a miracle, calling down a storm. I don't know. I probably just listen to this shit way too much.
And so, question I pose, are there purposes in our paradoxical trials that are intended to test us beyond our current belief systems?
Next slide.
That are intended to sanctify us, and that are intended to help us rend veils of unbelief and precepts of men we may be holding on to. And again, these are just questions I extend to you as listeners. This is just our experience. You would obviously have to.
Tim was called of God too.
Get your own spiritual experiences to know things that the Lord is teaching you.
I'm gonna look.
Is there power that comes from?
I'm gonna look in the book of Isaiah, whatever, the Isaiah Institute later too, for this paradox. Everything that he outlined, I'm gonna go look in there. They have a term of definitions, at the end of the book or at the end of the papers that I have, and it's real easy. I'm like, oh, okay. How come the Book of Mormon can't be like this?
From being called to pass through paradoxical trials, and this part of, us being prepared to
power, money, power, sex.
Become the kings and queens of the Gentiles.
There it is.
When we look at
those, I just pressed that. I'm sorry. Hold on.
When we're in,
go into the wrath and rescue.
Hold on.
Us being prepared to.
I messed up.
Become the kings and queens of the Gentiles.
Okay.
144,000.
There you go. Okay. King, queen, prophet, prophetess, priest, priestess. That is a second anointing, y'all. That is the title when a couple is sealed in the temple, even in the sealing room or not. by the officiant, allegedly, and accordingly to Chad Daybell's own writings, his smutty novel with his priestess there, and queen, Lori Vallow Daybell, where he said he was waiting on the officiant while they were kneeling across from each other in the temple. But Melanie Gibbs says, no, they were not in the ceiling room. So, she just cannot put them in there because it's against her religion. But that's what they're called right there. And that's your entrance into the Church of the Firstborn. The Church of the Firstborn is just an idea. It's just a title. It is not a place. So it is invisible. So David wasn't lying, but he's also covering up. And so they're all covering up. They took a secret oath. They took a vow of vengeance or whatever, an oath of vengeance. That's a weird word to say. They made these covenants and bindings, and these are things that you do not find in Christianity, or you're not supposed to. Allegedly, I don't know. I'm just now learning more into that talk. And I was listening. So there was another one that was what I was gonna do with you guys this after tonight, but it was just want you guys to be on the lookout for this. Well, no, let me finish this one. Sorry, because it's right here. This one, it's a jaw dropper.
To be empowered to go into the wrath and rescue members of the house of Israel.
When we look at those, when we're in the midst of the trial,
midst is another keyword.
It's like we're butting our heads against the wall of our belief system. That
have faith, remember? You talking to God personally. That's what I got. That's what you've said a couple times. Y'all are talking to God. Jesus in the temple. So who is playing Jesus in the temple? Is he for hire? I mean, what's going on?
What I believe. This is what I believe. So this is all I can do. And until something happens within us, or consciously, sometimes we say, all right, obviously, I'm not getting this. What is it? And allow the Lord to teach us. Then we can see from his perspective. We can see people. We don't see this person who's living their life this way. We see a person having an experience that will benefit them. We see someone that the Savior loves and completely understands and will take everything into consideration.
What?
So are there veils of unbelief that we are holding on to?
There's
precepts of men, or cultural traditions and societal things, continuing to, like Janet said, butt our heads against our belief system and say, are we bad parents? Is this my fault?
You're justifying.
Is God angry with me?
This is the only way to fix it.
This is the only way to fix it
for me.
I want
struggles were
this is the only way to fix it.
Okay, so so did Lori and Chad say this is the only way to fix it is to just murder the kids and Tammy and Charles and then collect the insurance? Because I mean, you might as well, right? So I'm telling you, it is religious beliefs. It's not just money, power, and sex. These feed all into this shit, and it's so gross.
Yeah, that was big for me. That I had to fix it. So some of the veils of unbelief I think that we pass through is, what if our children's struggles were foreordained?
What if our children's struggles? What if your struggles were foreordained? This caught my attention, and then the next slide, I was like, oh God, and I started going to work.
That was really outside the box for me. What if they were called to pass through thorns in the flesh?
What if JJ and Tylee were
thorns in the flesh can come in many, many different ways, whether it be mental illness, emotional illness, any kind of dysfunctions,
dimming of lights, bitchy moms, asshole parents.
A lot of those dysfunctions, unfortunately,
asshole fellow church members.
and just get passed down from generation to generation.
Generational.
What if they came at this specific time to experience deep trials?
Oh, the more deep.
From my own experience, the deeper the trial, the greater
the persecution. Oh my God, don't persecute me. No one was murdered here. No.
The greater the miracle we experience when we receive a great deliverance.
Don't be receiving shit.
What if our belief systems are being tested?
What if
this is in preparation for our end time calling?
What if it's actually the dark side?
What if these are empowering us to trust the Lord's infinite power of deliverance? To know the depths of the condescension of God, like we talked about with Abraham and Isaac. Or if they're preparing us to become the spiritual kings and queens, 144,000, and to become proxy saviors.
That's exactly what happened to y'all.
The power by which Moses parted the Red Sea. These are all scriptural types and patterns.
He is like, you know how they have those guys, I don't know, I used to see it on TV back in the day, on movies and stuff. They'd have like the guys in New York City and they'd have like their jacket and they'd be like, have all kinds of DVDs and stuff right here. It's like, he's like, hey, all these labels I just dropped, they're code words. That's what I call them, because I'm not a Mormon. I'm a Nevermo getting schooled in some Mormonism here, culture at least. But that's just like, hey, anybody? He's fishing for people anyways. He's fishing for feedback. That's for sure. But I don't know if they're also trying to justify him, just like I think Melanie Gibb did with Sherry Dowdle. Okay. You know, on her, I'd say a test run to get her little story as her alibi as good as she could, you know, a little practice won't hurt. Gotta be perfect.
In order to receive the power of God in great glory, you know, we're going to have to face great adversity. We're going to have to face these Abrahamic tests.
They're going to die.
What if our children chose to play a role?
What if they didn't?
In our spiritual ascension? So I ask you if any of this is resonating with you, if it resonates that there's a possibility that
they can't
the things
talk.
Your own children are passing through, that it could be a foreordained Abrahamic test for them and for you.
Okay. In order to receive the power of God in great glory, we will face great adversity. Abrahamic test. What if our children chose? Why isn't he saying like, why? What if my dog, or what if I chose to play a role in my own spiritual ascension? Does that mean you got to sacrifice yourself? What if they trusted us to fulfill our roles, our missions? Hello, as end time proxy saviors. I don't care. This is the same damn thing.
If you feel this way, and if you know of anyone who's going through that,
wink, wink, recruit.
Share this with them.
Cult higher up.
Write your comments.
Yeah.
In the comment section and share
666
how maybe this has worked in your life as well.
Not very good.
What if our children who are struggling trusted us, knowing ahead of time that
they're dead?
we would come in the very end times and that we would have roles as proxy saviors to them. And they trusted us.
You can't even adult. You can't even human.
I
trying to save
think that
people.
as we've been learning and realizing where we are in the time right before the millennium, that our children, I've felt it stronger and stronger, that our children probably knew that their time in a celestial earth,
that's this earth right now, that's this earth life right now, present time, or whatever,
would be limited, that they wouldn't have a long life to pass through all of the different things to learn from, and that they wanted to experience as much as they possibly could in a very short period of time. Then I look at my grandchildren.
And then what? Come back as Colby's freaking daughter? What kind of logic is this besides sick and twisted and murderous and wrong? We don't do blood sacrifices anymore. We don't build temples anymore. Okay? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Y'all didn't get the memo. I don't know. It might have been in that part that Joseph Smith maybe wrote out of it. I don't know. Corrected in his words.
Thing, their time is even shorter to experience things in a celestial world and learn what they wanted to learn from that or needed to learn from that. And we know that we have promises when we hold true to our covenants, that there's sealing power.
Hold true to them covenants.
And that
in a temple card,
that we are promised that we will have our children.
You're promised. You're not guaranteed. That is a man promising you that. Okay? When you go step into the circle and you raise your arm to the square and you make these covenants and all this weird shit, it's bow down before the one you serve.
And they are counting on us to keep our covenants, to hold strong, to have learned all of this from our difficulties in our lives, and so that we can be there when they need us.
When they die. All right, come on, Dad.
And again, we hit on this a little bit, but what if Abraham and Isaac both covenanted in the pre-existence to go through their paradoxical test together?
What if?
And if they did, and that's a pattern.
What if the church would actually, help and not abuse the victims and create victims and, breed them basically and allow them in your churches? What if? I mean, we could what if all day long. It doesn't do anything unless you're going to actually put forth the effort and be the change that you are perpetuating here, or just get it in the next life, right? Or after whatever.
A type, it would certainly make sense that we perhaps have done the same thing.
You were a kid once. Do you not realize that? And according to Lori, they turn into teenagers whenever they go to heaven. It's weird.
Another way of looking at it, rather than just here's Abraham and he was strong and stalwart, and but he had a wife and he had.
Okay, so she just compared her daughter was strong and stalwart too.
Children and people that were relatives that went with him and followed him, and all of them were together helping each other.
It's a forever family, right?
Learning from each other.
Plan of salvation. Yo.
So is it possible that we agreed with our children?
I don't know. Don't y'all remember? If you remember you're married to somebody in 11 past lives, then I would think that this little detail would be right there on the top of your mind, tip of your tongue.
To endure similar paradoxical sacrifices, not,
Is it? Okay, so yeah. Wait, was this it? Yeah. This was it. This was where I was like, oh, and I didn't even see past this. So we'll end right here. And I appreciate you guys for being here. I know this is rough and I talked a lot, but it's also good to just talk it out. Sometimes I probably said some things that aren't right a lot. And that's how I learn, is by messing up. I learn by making mistakes, and I appreciate those mistakes. And I take what I need and whatever, I move along. I don't hang on to every little thing. You learn from watching other people, like, you try to. That's kind of a good thing, I think. That way we don't go and I don't know. Anyways, but I appreciate you being here. It's definitely, you guys are awesome. You know that. Love always wins. And I don't know. I'm gonna go and read your comments whenever we get off of here, if I ever do. But right here, it made my head spin with everything that I had just heard. I was in and out of the room, didn't listen to it all, but now in the context of everything, and I'm probably reading way too far into it, in the weeds, but I mean, you have to, because there is no book. There is no organization. There's no media person, to address and acknowledge my family members that were murdered and part of their congregation, by their congregation. It's like the very people who are in charge of adjudicating and delivering justice to them are the very ones who murdered them. And I don't mean literally, but it's the same thing. It's like, but I mean, they get to have, they're entitled to their rights of having a peer, a jury of their peers. And I mean, what does that mean? Does it have to be from the same pool? Can we just step outside the box for once? Maybe there. I don't know. It's just, it breeds and it's toxic. And I'm so sorry to all of those who have been harmed, abused, exploited, dismissed, diminished, silenced, felt anything less than. I want you to know that you are enough. You are more than enough, and you are the only you that you will ever be, that ever will be. Not you will be. You are the only you that will ever be. You are unique. Nobody has your stories to tell. Those are yours. Yours alone. Mine are mine. Mine alone. We all have something to add. We all have something to bring. And we all hold a piece of this puzzle. Because that's what we are. We're humanity, and we're humans, and we're humaning, and it doesn't need labels. That's confusing. It really is. And we complicate everything. I don't think Adam and Eve were like, you girl, me boy. They didn't have no long script. I mean, I don't know. Wasn't there. Don't even know if it happened. I'm just saying, here are these stories. This is what we do. I mean, just because you can think of it, you can't have the same logic that Chad and Lori espouse, because they do believe that if you can imagine it, then it is real. You do have people like Ken Krogh and Tim Ballard and Tom Harrison going with a OUR operative allegedly to Thanksgiving Point, where they do. That's really weird there. I mean, I don't know. I've never been, but in the context of these people, it freaks me out. Okay. Think about JJ sitting on that ride all by himself at Bear World. What were they doing there? I'm just saying, it wasn't to make his life happy. Lord knows what was coming, and then everything that got taken away before his sister, all of them. They played God. I believe, this is my hunch, I believe that they were told to. I believe somebody told Chad, and Chad told Lori, and real conspiracy. Because these beliefs did not go away. Chad and Lori are in jail. I know that Tammy's aunt said that she don't know if there's people talking to Chad, but I don't believe he's I don't he's not a cult leader. I look, I search, I never stop. I never will stop. If he ever becomes a cult leader in my mind, then I will let you know, but I don't think so. I think it's a cop out that the church uses to distance itself from any culpability, responsibility, accountability, having to pay. They don't like that. They like shutting you up if they do, just like Timmy, OUR Jr. I mean, it's the same thing, same concept. We're going to exploit you here. We're going to exploit you here. Whatever we're doing, we're doing opposite. Okay. Probably. Yeah. So Jesus Christ. So you might want to think of what the opposite of Jesus Christ is in that parable. Okay. Then you go over here to Timmy, and then allegedly it's all for the kids. What would you do to save the kids? I would even say that I'm saving kids without saving the kids, but I'd spend your money and, just exploit the hell out of them too. All in the name of God, all in the name of saving children. I mean, that's two noble causes, right? Supposed to be. But then it in turn really does, it damages people who really are good people, who are really trying in a system that was never meant to work. And so God bless you. I mean, really, my heart, my thoughts go out to you. You guys are the bravest people. Y'all are some badasses, honestly, if you want my opinion. And I appreciate you for being here. Everybody, whether you were Mormon or not, me neither, but it's justice through understanding. That's what we're here for. So, is it possible we agreed with our children, to endure similar paradoxical sacrifices to enable our spiritual ascension? They're going up, moving on up, right? Is it possible? Now, they're not asking any other questions like, is it possible that we are getting duped? Is it possible that we will end up in prison like Chad and Lori? Is it possible there are some missing people somewhere in their circle now? I don't know. Is it possible that this could be happening soon when they get the call? What do we do? How do we handle this? Do we just, shred it, analyze it to death, or what do we do? I don't know. I really don't know. So, is it possible our children agree to suffer? I think of Tylee, in order to help us learn. Suffer the little children, right? Oh my God. Ugh. Anyways, all right, we're going to end on this.
Placing them on the altar and killing
Love
them.
you guys.
Is it possible our children agreed to suffer in order to help us learn things that couldn't be learned by staying in our little box? Another pattern I see is that Isaac was spared at the last minute. Is there a pattern for us there? Will our children also be spared at the last minute once they've gone through every bit of the crucible?
Y'all are probably used to this language too. I'm not,
And us as well.
Thank God.
Can our children's tests serve as a catalyst to us to help us make Abrahamic sacrifices?
What are they? What? So their children are their literal pawns. It's like, what can you give me? What would you do to have a roof over your head, and our good graces? What the frick? Do they realize that they were kids and teenagers and had hormones and their lights went dim, like they said earlier? Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like it's like the same damn playbook. It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
For all circumstances. Are we going to lose our faith? Are we going to turn against God because it doesn't make sense that we've loved our children so much and they're struggling
this screams Stacy freaking Cope to me. Bad. They went to Hawaii.
Can our children's tests help us make sacrifices for them that will require us to fully consecrate our lives?
Quit trying to go in the NWO there. I'm pressing all kinds of buttons now. That's all this is. The second coming, in my opinion, is just, I'm on lips so dry. The second coming, in my opinion, it's a dupe. It's all a dupe. It's a ruse. It's a ruse. It's a ruse. Without studying, and just kind of summing it up from just the outline by my researching through this case, it looks like a lot of people are going to be duped by the actual churches who purport to be, worshiping God, Jesus, anybody like that. And it's the dupe. It's the same pattern that matches up with the church right now, with this church right now, and what's actually happening. Like, their actions do not line up with what they purport, their image. That's all they care about. Same thing with Tim, or that organization ish, that whole setup over there. All his friends, they're all the same. They all have the same patterns. They all have the persecution complex, the God complex, Savior complex, the hero, Captain Moroni. They're just grandiose, and the actions don't match the talk. You can't walk the walk, talk the talk, right? That goes hand in hand. That's a big flag for me. By ye fruits ye shall know. That's the same thing. So what I see is a lot of people being hurt, but being propped up for it. But they're abusing you the whole time. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And I do believe this would go into whatever that great thing that may be coming up. I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I'm just a peon. Okay. I'm just a dumb Louisiana girl up the bayou. Who these people effed with my family. And so here we are. I don't think that they had to suffer so that, things happen out of my control, out of my, I wish there was something. I wish I'd have known. I wish I'd have been more involved. I do the woulda, shoulda, couldas, but none of that brings them back. We all tend to be like, as a society, I know I do. A lot of empaths are like that. You'll beat your own ass before anybody else can. Of all the things that you coulda, woulda, shoulda done. It's pressure I put on myself, but not with. I wish I could have been an aunt to my nephew, my only nephew, and not just while he's dead. I wish I would have spent more time. I wish I'd have got on an airplane and flew over there and been present. I wish a lot of things, but these unhealthy thoughts and beliefs and the not shutting them down, that's because the church doesn't want them to shut down, because that's what they do. This is the fruits of ye. By ye fruits, we know, and we feel it, we see it, we got the proof. Anyways, yeah.
Of the endowment is the law of consecration.
Oh, yeah, that's
possible that within our family agreements.
That's the second coming. Is the law of consecration, which is the social system. I think I don't really know enough to speak to it, but I'm sure you guys know. It's just fits so well. I'm just like, oh, these are globalists or whatever. I don't even know what that means, but these are just all these rich Ken Krogs and Rod Meldrums and keep your powder dry and just stupid assholes. Your Jason Mouse. He ain't even freaking. I don't even know what he's like a dingleberry. He's gross, and he wrote a children's book, and it's really telling. A children's book. It's like 2 pages. Anyways, it's so pathetic and gross, and from people who they're like, why they're calling my job, like Jason Mel. They're trying to cancel my bookings. I'm like, you work now, you got a promotion basically. Okay, Jason Mel, you were a couple 100 miles away allegedly at a singles ward event with not Roger K. Young, Richard Young, a magician. He can make kids disappear, I'm sure. Anyway, the flyer that it looks like I made it on Canva in a hurry with whatever, when you read backwards, dyslexia, because dates are wrong and it don't look like all the other ones. So I don't know, whatever. We'll never find out all the things, but at least we have each other to try. But anyways, love you guys. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. So did the woman who is facing red rum on her husband. Corey Richens. Oh, and I finally heard about the Gilbert Goonies or Goons or whatever. I finally kind of watched that. It is. Oh, yeah, TC. I don't know. Mom did text me earlier and oh, wait. Oh, hold on. I just got to check this real quick. Oh, okay. Well, that other Mormon guy friend that I have, he said, "Did you see they're considering a bill in Utah regarding ritual abuse? We're winning." And he said, "Take care of yourself." I said, "No, I did not. Oh my God. Is there any way you can share a link with me so I can share it with my community?" Yeah, no, you can't see this coming for sure. Can't see this coming, and they're waiting for the second coming, the next second coming, right? Thank you though. Adam Herbert's, he said Adam Herbert's Twitter. I'll send it to you on there. Oh, okay. He said on there. Okay, my bad. I don't. Okay, so I'll share that on the community page, but because I want to know, you got to pass these things through these bills and get them passed. And Donna's like, I love you though. But thank y'all. They are doing okay. Thank you, Hippie Gypsy. Hey, Jasmine, how you doing, girl? How you doing? I miss you too. Oh, well, but I'm leaving. So we've been here for 3 hours, 35 minutes. Anyways, I think it was important though. It gives us more insight into the Mormonese and Mormonology 144. Oh, wait, Mormonology. You're going to graduate to Mormonology 404. We'll see if it's still there, if they don't scrub it. And I'm kidding. It will not make it past the first reading. I know. But we got to keep trying, right? Yeah. That's what we got to do. We got to get better jobs and get into those higher places so we can get that shit through, pass some bills and laws and then enforce them. Okay. All the way to all your friends. Hey, ERP Thompson Queen. Okay. I love you guys. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe, and all the nameless and unnameless victims out there. Love always wins, and you guys are proof of that. I don't know why I just did that.